Morning, Clint. Good morning, Darren, and everyone listening back home. This tells you the spread of Casey Radio, isn't it? Beautiful Beaconsfield last Saturday morning. We probably couldn't be further away than that in the VFL to be at this fantastic facility at GMHBA Stadium at Cardinia Park, and I tell you what, it's absolutely beautiful down there. A little bit of give in the ground. It's a little bit soft. But yeah, absolutely perfect for football, and I know for a fact that the Casey girls are looking forward to an opportunity to play on an AFL venue.
We know this is a unique ground too. When you play AFL here, for whatever reason, there's a high volume of out on the full kicks due to the narrow boundaries, where players seem to get stuck out wide, and for whatever reason, I just can't get those angles right coming out. So did it sort of appear that way down? Did it look a little bit different to, say, other AFL venues?
I don't understand that one, because it certainly doesn't look or feel any different when you're on the ground, which I've been a couple of times with Banner and for my club, and in the stands, and even looking down on it from here, it certainly doesn't look like anything more than a regular football ground. To me, it's maybe a little bit shorter than I thought it was. Like the indications are that it's really long and skinny. It doesn't seem that way from here, but I'm not the one who has to play on it, and if I was, I wouldn't get a kick anyway, so it wouldn't really matter.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about me kicking it out in the full, because you've got to get it first
exactly
in order to do that. But yeah, it's the conditions are just about perfect for a midwinter game in Geelong.
Yeah, like it's only 9 degrees out there, according to the weather maps. It's very cool in the shade, but out down there in the sun, it's a beautiful sunny day, and it's like the warmth on your back. You just think it's absolutely fantastic. There's no excuses for either team today.
Which is good, because I know when I left the city this morning, it was a bit wet and miserable when I started driving down. And
what are we in for?
Oh yeah, but it was actually good. We moved tomorrow's game. We were going to do the Coburg game, which was right out in the open. We actually moved. We're doing the Werribee and Williamstown game, which should actually be a good game tomorrow in the VFL.
Should be a ripper, and we must say there's no, I suppose, reason for that switch, other than the fact that with the landscaping, groundworks and all that's going on at Coburg at the moment, we didn't have a covered commentary position, so if it rained tomorrow, we'd have problems. So there's no other reason than that for us leaving that Lions game.
And we'll make sure
we make up next week. We've got them next week.
We've got Coburg next week. I was going to say
Frankston.
Good. That should be a good game, actually. They've got both sides with a lot to play for in that one, Coburg and Frankston, and it'll be interesting to see how they go in today's game. So we're building up. We're about 7 minutes away from the game here. We're looking at Geelong. We're looking at them. They're on the ladder. We've got Casey is sitting at 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth on the ladder at the moment. 5 games, 3 wins, 2 losses, 144%. Geelong a bit further down. We played the 5 games just for the 1 win and 64%. So obviously Casey have been in a bit of form, but a couple of times we have seen Casey this year. They've been competitive and sometimes won games from positions you wouldn't think they can be in. So Casey always seem to make sure they're in games, which is something you've got to do at any level sort of thing. Just make sure you're staying competitive and close enough that you can have a shot at it towards the end of the game.
Yeah, like their men's team, they've been hit reasonably hard at times this year with player availability, but still, you look at Bianca Jacobson, Sarah Lampard, Harriet Cordner, who have been regular. Chantal Emmonson's been a good player at the higher level as well, so there's certainly plenty of talent there. You look at the Geelong lineup as well, and a lot of AFLW representation there in Karras or McDonald, Crockett Grills, Pearce, these sorts of players. Vander Heuvel, who's sort of running around in that competition as well. Cranston, who we've seen play a heck of a lot of football. So there's a lot of experience in both of those lineups, but particularly Geelong today.
I was going to say, you've been down and spoken to a few people. Have you got some ins and outs or anything major news like that from them?
It's massive outs for the Casey team today. You'll hear from the interview at halftime that I just did with Damien Keeping. They've all been rotated. It's on their AFLW programs, and they've got about 6 or 7 quality players who are out today with the bye last week. They've given them a 2-week block, which really hurts them. But you look at the outs.
I wonder if that's necessary, though, if you've just had a bye.
Well, they're giving them a 2 week. They let them go away for a couple of weeks, that sort of thing. I'm not so sure about it. But
that's what makes it when you've got that long season, with the way the AFL and the VFL season roll into each other.
You
need to take some time out just to have a holiday and a break sort of thing.
We will have a Casey player joining us very shortly. I've got to go down and get her, but Kat Smith, Libby Birch, Bridie Winbanks, Eden Zanker, Tyler Hanks, Sarah Lampard. all out of the team for Casey, along with Kiana Oates, Ainsley Kemp. They are quality players. Alicia Johnson comes in, Chantel Emonson, Hannah Dyson, Jessica Smith, who's on debut, Emily Archer, Taryn Orgel, who's back at the club now after heading back to Bass Coast midway through the year. She's a ruck. Anna Harris on debut, and Georgia Speedy and Tennille Nash are the other coming in off the emergencies list. Georgia Speedy. So there's 3 debutantes. So it's a lot of changes. I'll let you guys run through the rest, and I'll be back with you in a minute or so.
So the Cats, obviously, if you're looking at the outs for them, Darby, Woolett, Purcell, Webster, Ella, McAvoy, Chapman, Beckley, Beck Goring, and Michelle Fidali as well. Casey are out there on the ground. They're out there for the preliminary warm-ups a long time before Geelong, and they're out there now for their final pre-game run-throughs a long way before Geelong as well. And whether that's appointed to some of the younger players they've got in the side and just sort of getting an earlier feel for the ground and earlier feel for the conditions, which are obviously quite nice for footy. But good to see also a few people already gathering outside to sort of make their way in to see both of these games today. Plenty that have made the early trek, and then I'm sure the locals anyway will head home or to one of the local bars and watch Geelong play Port Adelaide in Adelaide later tonight.
I was wondering, with the Geelong VFL game, whether the club had set something up here. I hadn't actually seen that, you think, but there's plenty of other...
They may have, yeah.
They may have, otherwise there is plenty of locals. Yeah. I'm sure they've got their local bar that they all go to for the away games and that sort of thing, and that's going to be a big important clash in the AFL for Geelong in that one. As I said, they're sitting pretty at the top of the ladder at the moment, sort of thing, but Port, when they're on, can be very competitive, and Port at home is not an easy task. You find with those teams that are at the top like Geelong are, they tend to just sort of ease off a little bit at times just to work through, and they can be vulnerable every now and then when they're trying just to not... You can't go at that 100% for the whole season.
This has been the time where they've been most vulnerable. They've lost 7 in a row out of a bye, Geelong, going back to 2011. So coming off the bye, they've been beaten in the match immediately afterwards 7 times in a row. So that's the challenge that they've got to try to overcome. We know that there's a week off before the finals now, so you've got to deal with byes then as well, and potentially in the second week of the finals if you are lucky enough to win your first and go through to a prelim. So that's the challenge. Port Adelaide have swung the axe at the selection table, so that would encourage a response from their team. So, well, if you look at the senior boys like Ryder and Westhoff, if they're not safe in the team, or you're not safe in the team either, and it does send a rocket up some of those players to realise that, geez, if they're not safe, there's no way that I could ever take my spot in the side for granted. So
you have to wonder what's going on in the background there, because there was a couple there. Westhoff, he's not playing as good as he has done in the past, but I didn't think he'd been that bad the last couple of weeks. And I mean, maybe I had him in my AFL fantasy side, so there may have been a little bit of personal motivation for being a little bit annoyed at that, because last of the bye rounds and I was already short of players anyway, and there's one more missing out that I wasn't going to get. So but obviously, you wonder whether there's something else going on in the background, or whether it is just that Ken Hinkley just sending a message to the boys saying you need to pull your head in and keep focused. No one's getting a game here just on name or reputation.
Yeah, the Westhoff one's interesting. Powell Pepper, I think, at times can sort of drop in and out of games. The Ryder one is interesting because he plays his best football as the number one ruckman. He's not the number one ruckman anymore because Scotty Lycett's at the club.
Yep.
Then he goes forward where he's reasonably effective, but Charlie Dixon comes back in, so he's no longer the number one forward either in that side. I still think there's a place for him, but just exactly what that place is sort of remains to be seen. So interesting, 32 years of age. If you believe what Kane Corns was saying, the club had rejected a 2-year proposal put forward by his management, contract-wise, suggesting that they're looking a little bit more short-term than that. So that will be the interesting challenge as the Cats have made their way out onto the ground, as we said, a little later for their warm-ups. Casey already gathered in their huddle with plenty of new faces in the side, as Jonty alluded us to earlier in the piece. As we look at Geelong down towards the left-hand end of your radio dials, towards the open ends, and you got the Casey girls down at the players' stand end, the old Reg Hickey stand end, if you will. So it's going to be a challenge for them, certainly, with the other player rotations that have sort of been put in place, but obviously coming in a really strong position on the table and looking to consolidate that today.
And it's just a beautiful ground here, looking at this, that open in the Gary Ablett Terrace, as they call it down there. It's good to see that, keep that balance with some standing type area and that sort of thing. It gives that a bit more of atmosphere and a feel to a ground, rather than being sometimes the full stadiums can be a bit clinical and that sort of stuff. But we got Jonty's joined us back now.
Yeah, I'm back. When you turn me back on, I'm back.
I think that's you, is it?
Nearly there?
Yep.
There we
gotcha.
go. There we go. And I've got a special guest with us today who happened to be the first winner of our Eternity Spray Tanning Player of the Week a few weeks ago, guys. And just to make her a little bit more nervous as we welcome Taylor Tatterson. A very good morning to you.
How you going?
And yeah, we're going well. How about you?
Not too bad. A bit nervous.
That's all right. Well, as I said off air, we'll just think like we're having a chat about the footy and we'll be fine. And we'll just make you a little bit more nervous and welcome everyone who's watching in on the VFLW live stream for Swiss Wellness and Choose Tap, the VFL sponsors. Thanks very much to you for tuning in. We hope you enjoy the game. And yeah, Taylor, a lot of changes. We'll ask you this. We'll give you a bit of notice to think about it because the game's about to start. A lot of changes to the team with a lot of your AFLW listed players being rested. So we'll let you have a think about that and let us know what you think about that and how it might affect the team today. But we're just about ready to get underway. And the umpire puts the footy up in the air. It is round 6 of the VFLW, Geelong versus the Casey Demons, and there's a free kick straight away. Coming out of the first contest, it's going to the Demons, and it'll be taken by Maddie Guerin, who goes towards half forward. That was good. Here's Cordner, swings back inboard, kicks beautifully up towards full forward front spot, almost the mark there for, I think that was McDonough, couldn't quite take it, picked up for Geelong. Now there's a whistle, there's a free kick to Casey, and it is Alicia Johnson who is going to take it 25 metres out straight in front, and this would be a perfect start for the Demons.
To be something at the bottom of that pack, because we saw it was Denby Taylor, I think, that gave the free kick away at the bottom of that contest, and whether there was a scuffle or something at the foot that led to that.
So Alicia Johnson, back in the team today, hasn't kicked a VFLW goal in 45 games. So watch them get around her if she puts this through, and she does. Alicia Johnson in game 46 kicks her first goal, and they know about it too. Casey Demons off to a great start. They're 1 straight 6, leading Geelong yet to score. And that is inside the first 2 minutes of the game. Taylor, a great start for the girls and for Alicia, who has been waiting a long time for that goal, I'm sure.
Oh, she's had a few weeks off, and just in training you can just tell she's been building up to this game a lot, and I think that goal is definitely going to do wonders for her confidence. So to start off with that, I think she's going to have a brilliant game for the rest of it. So good on her, and I'm very proud that she's made that goal.
So all Casey in the early stages of the game. Free kick out of the middle, and then obviously able to lock the ball inside 50. Cordner won the tap, but Geelong sharked it, bounced it down towards the forward line. Vander Heuvel copped a pretty cruel bounce. It sort of just jagged away from her. Now Rocky Cranston putting some pressure on. They go off the ground inside 50, the Cats, via Ivy, up to about 25 metres from goal. A little bit of holding in there. In fact, no, they've actually paid a throw. So looked like to me the tackle might have lingered just a fraction too long, but in the end it's Georgia Clark that wins the free kick for the throw or incorrect disposal, and basically the same sort of distance and range from Johnson at the other end.
And the same thing, Darren, she hasn't kicked a goal yet.
They're wasting no time, and that one is just drifting away to the right, so that remains the case for Georgia Clark in her 8th game of footy. First score of the year for her as Casey quickly back into play. About 35 metres from the Cats' goal. It was a bit of a messy transition out of defence. Trying to get the ball to Cordner by hand. Eventually the hand pass comes out a second time on its way towards Bianca Jacobson. Casey go down towards the wing position. Trapped well close to the boundary, and that again was a tackle that probably lingered a fraction too long. Close to the boundary. Squeezing a kick away there was Heath. Cut off. Cats will bounce it down towards half forward. Again, in front position for Geelong was, I thought, Ivy on that occasion. Getting in low over the ball was Karras. Currently in the wing position, just in front of the interchange bench, and play is tied up. And we should have a bounce about 3 kicks away from the Cats' goal.
Taylor, we'll ask you that question now. Kat Smith, Libby Birch, Bridie Winbanks, Tyler Hanks, Eden Zanker, Sarah Lampard. There's some pretty handy names on the sidelines today, along with yourself. Yep,
definitely. So we've sort of changed the team up a bit. We've got a lot of muscle coming in, actually. So there's quite a few debutantes that are really, really strong with their marking, strong with their driving. So hopefully they'll be able to prove their worth and come in and be able to make up for our losses, but with the AFL girls sitting out, but you can't play them every time, so I think we'll be able to show some new talent coming through.
And just on that, Taylor, with that AFL program, is that sort of structured, as Jonty was saying, a 12-month program allowing players to sort of get away and just have a decent block rather than, say, 1 week?
Yeah. So there's quite a few. I think it's Europe season at the moment. So there's a lot of girls that have decided to go on a holiday now after their AFL season. And, it's good for them to have a bit of a break and then come in blocks towards us. So... I think it'll be really important for them to have a rest as well. They can't really carry us too much.
That looked like really good footy from Casey Guerin with the free kick, gave it to Jacobson and then to McDonough. It was just quality, but it broke down, unfortunately, with the last kick inside 50. The Demons will get the footy back here, only briefly, because Ivy managed to toe poke it out to the wing. Picked up for Geelong. In fact, she couldn't get it Cranston on the first go. Now the Demons with a chance. Guerin flicks it out the back to Hogg. Onto the right boot. Snap around the corner. Back towards half forward. Front spot Cordner. Shrugs off one. Then a second. Had to kick quickly. It'll tumble away towards the pocket. Thomas is there. Had to lay the tackle on the Geelong defender in Blakeway. And then the tables turned and it was Rebecca Pearce who was bringing down the Casey player and creating a ball up deep inside forward 50 for the Demons. They lead by 5 points. Cordner worked it towards the line and eventually over by Chantel Emerson.
Starting very well, Cordner and Jacobson for Casey in particular. So we're about 25-30 metres away from Casey's goal. They lead by 5 points in the early stages. Karras stuck behind in the ruck on that occasion, ends up sharking the footy, just squeezed it into the corridor, slightly dangerous position. And again, it was Johnson charging through, picked up the footy and was caught, and we'll have a bounce now centrally, 25 metres away from the Casey goal.
Crockett Grill's slow to get up from that previous contest. I think a Hawke Premiership player, if I remember rightly, but she's okay.
As the Cats unable to escape there, we'll have a secondary bounce. Karras trying to throw a weight around in the ruck. Gave up front position before, but this time climbs high and wins a pretty strong tap down in towards the path of Rankin. Now Casey working it now to about 25 for goal, throwing it onto the boot, floating it across the face and just missing to the left-hand side. And that was Harriet Cordner, who's been very busy in the early stages, 1-1-7 to 1 behind.
She's only played her 16th game today in 3 years or 2.5 seasons at the club, Taylor Harriet. But we see when she's out there just how important she is.
Oh, she's fantastic. One of our 3 captains, and just her voice on field and in training, it just really gets the girls going, and it's probably the best thing that we need for the team.
Cranston got it to McDonald and then to Ramsey, who kicks up to the wing. Well picked up for the Cats. That was Kerrick, whose handball was terrific. Short ball from Van der Heuvel. That was really good as well. Gave Clark a chance. Kicks inside. She does stroll into goal and dribbles it through. Ruby Benham kicks the goal. Geelong go coast to coast and the Cats lead 1-1-7. In fact, all square, 1-1-7 apiece here at Cardinia Park. We've played 7.5 minutes in the first quarter. Bit disappointing that to allow the opposition out the back, Taylor?
Yeah, I know one of our strengths is our speed, and we shouldn't be able to, they shouldn't be able to run on that much without us setting up defensively quick enough. So need to make sure that we're more body on and checking each other.
So back in the middle, it was a pretty strong start from Casey, but that clearly Geelong's best passage of play. Ball knocked away. Tackle probably lingered a little bit too long in the middle. Play on's the call. Comes out towards our wing position. Use of the body out here by Rankin, but couldn't take possession. It did clear a path though, and the Cats just enjoying a good little period. Down towards half forward. A nice bounce there for Van der Heuvel, who scrubbers the kick down towards attacking 50. Clark might have been carried forward a little bit on that passage of play. Charging through there was Renee Gehring. Left the footy behind. Casey scrambling on defence. It works its way out towards Sheriff. Down towards the half-back flank. And again, the umpire sort of keen to allow them to play on. Pratt disposed of the ball, and then the tackle certainly dumped her after she got rid of the footy. And play on was the call. Now it's Maguire doing the tackling for Geelong, and the ball will be bounced 75 around from the Cats' goal.
So they go at it. Cordner won the tap down. Ivy was caught over the shoulder. She's going to have to come back behind her mark and take a kick from about 70 metres out from goal for the Cats. A solid start for Casey. Got the early goal. Taylor just need to steady things down now, with Geelong seeming to have a little bit of a run at it. Yeah, definitely. Playing on Geelong's ground, obviously they're going to be able to know what corridors to go up. So it'd be intimidating coming out into someone else's home ground, but once we settle, I'm sure we'll be able to fit in a bit better. Ivy kicked inside 50. Little toe poke out of defence. That came from Bent Veltson. Into the centre of the ground goes the footy. Cordner has it again. This time she's gang tackled, and the umpire will call for it. Right in the centre of Cardinia Park, GMHBA Stadium. Swiss Wellness VFL Women's Round 7 game between the 1-4 Cats and the 3-2 Demons. Trying to barge through and doing a very good job of it was Guerin. She's a quality player, having a great season. Kick goes towards the middle of the ground. Johnson kicked her first goal a couple of minutes ago. The bounce doesn't favour Jacobson. Getting back there was Blake Way for Geelong. Hand pass was cut off by Harris on debut. She was tackled and dispossessed. Now Geelong can come clear through Woodruff. Her kick is not good, and there's the first of the out of bounds on the Fulls today. Parko, as you predicted.
Yeah, it just seems to be magnets above the boundary line that just drags the ball out. I think the ground sort of narrows up a little bit on the wings. The free kick will go to Casey. Just had to make sure they had the right footy there. Garner has it right between the found Jacobson lace out. Another well-weighted kick, trapped at the fall, snapped around the body by Emerson down towards the goal square. It just needs to sit. It just got away a little bit there from Casey teammate. We're now close to the boundary line and over and out of bounds on the full. So the free kick will go the way of Geelong on the last line of defence, just beside the right behind post. As they'll work it down the line and just left there by Karras and allowed Casey again to sort of come in and win the ball at the full, about 52 metres out. Charging back in after it there was McDonough, but the Cats will take it away, working it down towards the wing position. And again, they're just creating some open space. The ball will be chipped into centre half forward. One Cat amongst about 4 Demons, and it was Haig that won possession, but a delivery inside 50 turned it over. And now Casey can transition back out the other side, although only temporarily. Kick partially smothered on Van der Heuvel after she won the intercept. It came back to her. She now measures the kick into the pocket. Mark Spilt, close to the boundary line there by Clark. Flicked it up by hand. Benham was involved in there as well. Now a skewed snap off the outside of the right boot down towards the goal square. Cat's still alive, top of the square. Clark's kick was partially smothered. Again, it just won't go through. And again, it's Benham who's lying on the behind line. Cat's just trying to keep it alive. Will their persistence pay off? It's snapped over the shoulder. Only travelled about 5 metres. They're trying to work it out again towards Haig, who started that passage of play, but eventually Casey hold up and will try to clear. They're working well towards the boundary line. Under pressure. Hurried snap again is going to lead to a shot at goal for the Cats, you'd think. A chance now for Benham to steady for a second, and she bends it through nicely. That was a great passage of play by both sides. Just defence, 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 and relentless attack from the Cats. And Benham makes it 2 and goes to 4 for the season and gives the Cats the lead, 2-1-13, Casey 1-1-7.
Just a real scramble down there, wasn't it, in defence? Desperate forward pressure and defence from Casey, but in the end it opened up, and Ruby Benham with a very good finish. So the Cats steadying down after a slow start. The other game underway is down in Morwell. Collingwood has kicked the first goal against the Western Bulldogs through Stacey Livingston, and Maddie Shevlin has kicked the second, so that's 2-0 for Collingwood against the Bulldogs. As the Cats try to break out of the centre here again at Cardinia Park, and that is high contact free kick going to Taryn Love, who will send it towards centre half forward. Kick was good, went through the hands, however. Cranston, second in line, kicks up towards full forward. Ben Felton works Clark underneath the football. It'll trick away towards the line, and that hit her shin and went over the line. Very unlucky when that happens, but not much you can do about it. And the umpire here is
paid
making
50, I think.
He was trying to pay a 50 to the Casey Demons when it was Geelong's free kick.
Yeah.
So that is very, very interesting.
Against Geelong for kicking the ball away, even though it was their free kick. Yeah.
So the umpire missed it completely. So he's got it right. It's going to come back, and Georgia Clark will take the free kick on the boundary line. Kicks across the face of goal. That's a good stretch, almost the mark to Maguire. Snap around the corner, picked up the rebound. Clark with a chance to get it back, and she does. Very good mark by Georgia Clark, reaching over Bent Belson, and that's not an easy thing to do. She's a very good defender, Kayla Bent Belson. And Georgia Clark has another chance to kick that goal, but she gives the hand pass off. It's low and straight, and Danielle Orr kicks another one for Geelong. The Cats go to 3-1-19, Casey 1-1-7, and we've played nearly 15 minutes in the first quarter. Just unlucky there in the first instance. Kayla, it can just happen that the ball hits the boot and goes over the line like that. Yeah, no, she's very unlucky with that. Usually she's such a clean player. You can never really fault her in defence. She did play up in the forward line last year, our leading goal kicker, and then moved backwards. She's just been magnificent in the back line. So hopefully she can keep her head up and pick her game up from there. Just enjoying Geelong's forward pressure. They're not allowing Casey to take the ball out. Every time Casey wins possession in defence, there's about 4 Geelong players sort of running at them back inside 50. So they'd be really pleased with that setup in the early stages of the game. And that goal scorer, Parko Danielle Orr, sister of Sean Higgins. Sister of Sean Higgins. There you go. You saw the finishing ability there that the family's got. Absolutely. Well, Sean lying low with a bit of a shoulder injury, but a superstar in that Kangaroos lineup. And the Western Bulldogs before that, as the Cats again scramble. Gehring was at the fall. She had a few touches in the last sort of 5 or so minutes. Good tackle by Brianna Pratt. But Geelong again, as we say, just willing their way forward. It makes its way again towards Gehring, who bounces it inside 50. The very lively Clark had this one land at her toes. Now she'll try to scramble it out by hand. The ball will be taken at the top of the goal square by Benham. Just couldn't quite get a kick over the waiting defence of Casey, who were able to repel momentarily. They've got the numbers at the fall here, so they should be able to get it out. But just a little fumble didn't allow them clean passage, but there was some high contact over the ball, and now there will be a 50-metre penalty because it wasn't returned correctly to the source. And McDonough, who will streak down the ground and play on. And Denby Taylor hasn't moved in the centre of the ground after going down from the centre bounce. And they haven't stopped play yet. In fact, it was Shelley Heath, the recipient of the 50-metre penalty. And streaking forward, as you can do now with the 50, she was able to quickly play on and find Harriet Cordner, the goal scorer. And now the whistle comes, indicating that we'll have a break in play. Stretcher coming out for Denby Taylor. So Harriet Cordner will have a bit of time to think about this one. And it's one of the only times that the clock stops, so I didn't exactly see what happened, but she went down in a solid contact in the centre of the ground just as Geelong was breaking out of the middle. How do you think Harriet will handle a long wait before having a shot at goal? It's probably good that she's got so much experience. Yeah, I think out of all players, she's probably the best one to keep a level head. Because I know Geelong will be working on their defence right now of how they're going to receive that football into the defensive 50. So yeah, I think Harriet will be able to keep her cool head and just play her own game. Probably helps players now too, given the amount of running they do. I often talk about the time limits on shots at goal, that they're still exhausted or still sort of taking in the breaths when they kick for goal. So it now gives them the chance to just sort of settle down, and both sides in their huddles having a chat, and surprisingly close together, those huddles too. They're not sort of spread out, although you've got the Casey defence sort of gathering down not too far from where Denby Taylor is at the moment. So Geelong broke away from that clearance, whether there was a shepherd or a tackle. It wasn't Taylor that won the clearance initially, but whether she sort of dished off a hand pass and got collected, it was Renee Gehring that took the ball out of the middle. Now they've brought out the neck brace for her, so that she would have been knocked out, I'd say. Precaution, isn't it? They usually do that for concussions, don't they? Yeah, they've now rolled her onto her side, and she has sort of moved her feet a little bit, so that's an encouraging sign. But yeah, the neck brace generally, because they can't do the full assessment on the ground, so they'll be able to then brace that up, take her inside and assess
the extent of that injury, which hopefully is just a concussion from a nasty head knock in the middle. We've got all of the support staff, both the Casey and Geelong support staff out there as well, which is good to see, assisting in the middle.
And they've just had permission off the umpires to allow Amy McDonald to come on to this huddle to discuss what's going to happen next. But we're looking like it's going to be a pretty significant break. So
she's moving her arms. We can see that from our vantage point now. So that's good that she's come to. You'd certainly sense that she was knocked out in that passage, but at least now is moving and responding to those medical personnel, which is always good to see.
So we can ask Taylor about yourself. You've come through. This is your second year at Casey, is that right?
No, it's actually my first year at Casey.
Okay.
Yeah.
How are you finding being in a VFLW program?
Oh, it's just incredible. Like I never even worried about how much running I was doing outside of football or gym or anything like that. So I used to just play local, and I did it more so for the fun than anything. And coming up into a professional environment, the change is just incredible. The girls are amazing, and just the way that you can actually push yourself in the program with how far your potential it's really encouraging.
Tell us about the background, essentially, like when you were interested in football and when you were first interested in football, what the pathways were compared to what they are now.
Well, I actually come from Gippsland, and we only got a women's team down there 4 years ago. That was the first time we had any inkling of it. And as soon as I heard about it, I'd always loved football in high school, so I thought, yeah, all right, I'm going to go and sign up for it. And I played my first season, and we managed to get the grand final flag in the Division 5 for the South East. And after that, I was actually invited to the AFL pre-season academy in 2015-16. That's actually when I met Damien Keeping. So this was before the first AFL draft. So I was one of a few hundred that were invited over to train for the season, and it was just an eye-opener to the potential that football had. And I stuck down with Gippsland playing for them for another 3 years until I just going through the different divisions, rising up a bit higher as I did, and decided this year to try out for VFL level, and managed to get through. So it was incredible experience doing that pre-season, and it really opened my eyes to what potential I can have if I actually push myself. So, are
you related at all to the Tattersons of Trafalgar down in Gippsland?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I've played football against the boys, Andrew and co, and obviously had Troy and everybody down there. So when you said Gippsland, I thought that would have to be the case. So
yeah, I'm actually originally from Trafalgar, so they're my third cousins. They are. So,
very good. I used to live across the road from them on Chapman's Road. So it is a very small world. But I understand, Jonty, we've just seen the replay of that incident.
Yeah, Denby Taylor went in for the tackle on Alicia Johnson, and just sort of swung out of it and hit her head on the ground at the same time as Johnson, who she was tackling, came down and landed on top of it. So nothing untoward in it. It's just very unfortunate that she's landed badly and probably knocked herself out in that contest.
She was unprotected in that, so I realise we've got 2/3 of the commentary team representing Trafalgar in Central Gippsland, which is good to see.
And I noticed the Basque Coast Football Club, that's the club you're talking about that's only been around 4 or 5 years, is it? Or is that where you've moved to?
Well, yeah, I've actually recently just moved to Basque Coast. So originally I was with the Gippsland Galaxy, and then they merged into Gippsland Maroons. And then, unfortunately, due to a lot more women's football popping up around the area, we lost a lot of interest in our main team. So I've moved since then to Basque Coast as Gippsland folded.
So Cordner lining up from 35 metres, has struck that pretty well, just hasn't quite had the carriage, along with the numbers in the goal square. Haven't been able to get that through, so they're still a little bit nervous because Casey now, with the opportunity just about sort of 25 from goal, certainly looked like Guerin might have been held in that exchange. Jacobson's kick was smothered. Now Geelong are quickly able to get numbers there and close it down 30 metres from goal.
Well, I'll ask you about Basque Coast, because it seems like there's a lot of girls across the competition that have come out of Basque Coast this year. So it's obviously a good program, which we'll get back to shortly, Taylor. As another ball up will result about 40 metres out from the Casey goal. The Basque Coast Club seems to be probably a dozen or more playing in different VFLW teams.
Yep, there's quite a lot there now, actually. There's 5 from Casey, 2 from St Kilda, and 1 from Richmond. And our Richmond is actually in the AFL now. So, yeah, definitely a lot of talent coming down there. You don't know what's in the water at Bass Coast.
Taylor Stale-Smith, a very good story, which we read a few weeks ago. You would have played some footy with her to come in and kick 6 goals on debut at this level. It's an unbelievable effort and shows you the talent she's got. Yeah,
it was incredible. We always knew she had a lot of talent behind her, and her first game we were expecting a lot, but I think even 6 goals just shocked everyone because we knew she was good, but that was just outstanding effort that she did.
Kick inside 50 has been beautifully marked by Johnson, who's had a good first quarter. Dangerous handball will come off in the end. Garner kicks up towards full forward, but the mark safely taken for the Cats by Rankin, who plays on quickly, brings it out towards defensive 50. Jacobson threw it over her head when she missed the handball. That'll be high contact, free kick for Geelong.
We tell you also that Krista Woodruff has just limped down the tunnel as well with the trainer, so the Cats could conceivably be 2 down.
It'll be a worry for them as Cassie Blakeway takes the free kick from halfback Cranston. Maybe nudged under it by McLean, who won the footy. Hand pass came out the back to Bailey. Got it to Hogg. Kick on the left boot to 50. Courageous mark back with the flight of the ball. That's terrific work by Maddie Kerrick. Experienced player, one of only about 10 in the competition who've played 50 games in the first 3.5 years, Darren.
53, so 54 today. And that mark on the siren saved a goal, or saved a passage inside 50 and protected Geelong's 12-point lead.
It is quarter time here at GMHBA Stadium at Cardinia Park, and it is the Cats leading by that 12-point margin. 3-1-19 Geelong over the Casey Demons, 1-1-7. Goal scorers Ruby Benham with 2 and Danielle Orr for Geelong. And for Casey, Alicia Johnson in her 46th game kicked her first goal, and you'd have to call that a Tuesday goal of the day contender. You'd
have to. Her, yep, absolutely.
And then Ruby Benham's first goal when they went coast to coast. Again, a very good contender for Tuesday. The leading goal kicker award, of course, in the VFLW competition. We'll take a break here at GMHBA Stadium, and when we return, we'll talk a little bit more to Taylor, and we'll sum up what's happened in that first quarter. Darren Parkin, Brendan Rhodes and Taylor Tatterson with you on Swiss Wellness VFL Women's Round 7 on VFLW Live and Casey Radio 97.7, the sound of the Southeast. GMHBA Stadium, Cardinia Park, where Geelong overcame a slow start to get themselves to a 12-point lead against the Casey Demons at quarter time, 3-1-19 to 1-1-7. The Demons, with a large number of players being rotated out of the team today, so it's a challenge for them, sitting at 3-2 in 6th spot, I believe, might be 5th on the VFLW ladder. Of course, Melbourne University's late collapse last week saw them switch positions with the Demons having the bye. Geelong sitting in 9th on the ladder, a couple of games out of the top 6, so they really need to get this victory today. But it's a big challenge for Casey. You started well, Taylor Taddison, and but just need to reset now and try and work your way back into the game by half time.
We managed to have quite a few forward entries, which was promising, but it was just a lot of scrambly football down there, so I think the girls just need to take that extra breath and maybe take their times, focus on their shots, because as soon as the ball gets turned over, Geelong, as you say, they managed to do a wonderful goal earlier going coast to coast, so they're able to enter their 50 pretty quickly, so we need to make sure when we've got it in ours that we utilise that. Yeah,
that's definitely spot on. When Geelong are winning the ball back off Casey, they're able to go down into an open forward line, so they're sort of dragging the Casey defence out and then creating all of that open space, and even when Casey have tried to sort of rebound, Geelong have still had numbers sort of around the edge of 50 to sort of lock the ball in. So for Casey, I would imagine that's it. It's almost holding the structure. We're sort of similar to the way Geelong, the AFL side, had picked apart Adelaide a few years ago, where Adelaide used to drag defenders up and then charge back inside 50, whereas Geelong just said, we'll just stay at home. You can go up there if you like. Sooner or later, you've got to come back. But if you come back, there's still numbers sort of holding position. So whether Casey do that, that might be, I guess, a worthwhile instruction. So they're getting outnumbered sort of every time Geelong go inside 50. It's 6-on-3, 8-on-4, those sorts of numbers. They've just got to make sure they even that contest up.
Around the grounds, Collingwood we saw beat the Darebin Falcons by 78 points last week, 79-1, and they've had a blinder against the Western Bulldogs down at Morwell Recreation Reserve as well. Maddie Shevlin, Stacey Livingston, Jamie Lambert, then Livingston and Lambert again mean at the 5-minute mark of the second quarter, the Magpies lead 5 straight 30 to the Western Bulldogs, no score.
Lambert's a star.
She is a very, very good player, Jamie Lambert. Kicked 4 last week. Chloe Malloy kicked 5. She's out of the team today. But Collingwood's still going along their merry way at the moment.
Chloe Malloy drastically missed by their AFLW side last year, and maybe this good VFL form is a really encouraging sign that maybe the other future's a bit brighter for them.
She's only second game back it was last week. She played her first game back against Casey a couple of weeks ago and didn't hit the scoreboard. I think might have got one, but you could just see her class getting back into the team and helping Collingwood get over the line in what was a very close game that day. Yeah,
she definitely played very, very well. I know one of our tactics was just try shut her down, but unfortunately with a player like Chloe, with such skill and such drive as well, she's able to get a lot of the football. So definitely proved herself the other week, kicking those 5 goals. But luckily we managed to not let her get 5 on us.
And how quickly she's developed too from the first year I saw her was in 2016, I think it was. She kicked 52 goals as a forward pocket for Diamond Creek, and the following year she gets drafted and goes straight into the midfield and dominates for Collingwood at AFLW level. There was no way she could have played midfield that year for Diamond Creek. She got herself that fit over one off season and just exploded, which was great to see for her and for Collingwood, who were lucky enough to get hold of it.
Can be one of the elite talents of this competition. There's no doubt about that. Renee Karras, again, going up in the ruckle, beaten on that occasion by Cordner, who was one of Casey's best in the first quarter, but she's gang tackled by 2 cats. She should have charged forward about 10 metres with the footy before eventually getting wrapped up. This time, Karras winning the tap down, but Casey doing well, and just stepping through traffic there was Gearin, broke a couple of tackles and then just got caught right at the death and was penalised holding the ball at centre half back. Geelong working it into the middle. That's a very good mark coming across on the side. A strong contested mark floating across the back of that pack by Cordner. And now the Casey side go up inside 50 again, starting this second term very well. Jacobson just shovels a hand pass over her head. Close to the back of the pack there was Amy McDonald for Geelong, who transitions across and finds a teammate in Rankin.
Rankin, 25 metres out from her own defensive goal. Brings it out towards the broadcast side. Ball brought to ground by Orr. She'll end up, well, she could have received it, but the tackle brought it away from her. Well done by the Demons. And it's going to be eventually a ball up, you'd think. The umpires love letting it go, letting the girls have a chance to get it out themselves. How do you see that, Taylor? Would you prefer them to blow the whistle sooner, or you like being able to fight to get it out yourself like that?
Well, a lot of the girls sort of just stopped then. You could just tell that they were wanting the whistle to get blown. So I think the quicker you do it when they stop, the better, so the game can get going. Because otherwise...
Speedy's kicked a goal on debut. That was great. Cordner kicked it in. Jacobson was absolutely terrific, winning the football at ground level. And Georgia Speedy, on debut, snaps a terrific goal. Damien Keeping told us to keep an eye out for her. She's very strong up forward. Is Georgia Speedy, and that's a great start to her career. Yeah,
she definitely has so much potential in her. In one of our practice matches against North Melbourne, I think she managed to bag about 5 goals. So, having her in the forward line is going to be very, very dangerous to any opposition that we're coming up against.
Great call on Jacobson too. Terrific hands at the fall, just sort of slipping over, going into the square, but had the presence of mind to find Speedy, who stepped the right way and finished. Some good goal sense. Ball comes out here via Emerson. Sweeping hand pass towards Heath, who's forced to go backwards towards Emerson again. Surrounded by Cats. Ending up getting some assistance from Dyson, who came in, but eventually Geelong will take it away. Karras received the hand pass there from Maguire. Bounced it down towards half forward. Guerin quickly gave the hand pass away. Casey, I can't go too much further though, and about 70 metres around from Geelong's goal. We'll have a bounce. So the Cats lead it by 6 points. And Cordner having a very good quarter of football. Now it's worked away by the Cats, who go up inside 50. Ball lands about sort of 35, 40 metres out. Quick snap there from Cranston down towards the top of the square. Cats just holding their ground. They've got the numbers, but Casey, just good presence of mind just to sort of hack the ball out of there. McDonald came back in again, having had a couple of possessions in this exchange. She's unable to escape. Emerson could, though. And the Demons up towards the wing position. Use of the body was good there from Blakeway just to keep her opponent away from the footy. Went back in and got it again. Snapped the bouncing ball down towards half forward. It initially eluded Crockett Grills. They then flick it inside 50. Casey standing in the way. Back outside again. And Casey just unable to penetrate midfield. Kick smothered there on Blakeway. And eventually it bounces back Casey's way. They've got a few numbers, but coming out and meeting the ball full-chested before being caught in a tackle was the Cats. Jacobson flicking the hand pass over the top. Ball eventually comes back out towards McDonough. McDonough on the second attempt towards Heath. Couldn't quite take it with her. Geelong defending grimly once again. McDonald flicking it out towards her wing position. Close to the boundary line, so good defence here by Geelong under a fair degree of pressure. Orr went off the ground favourably towards Crockett Grills, who threw it onto the boot. Good mark taken here at half forward by Maguire. Hand pass off to the running player there in Rankin. Up towards attacking 50 and standing in the way. Casey able to repel with a very nice mark to Ben Velson.
So Kayla Ben Velson goes short to the outer pocket. And it's in the hands there of Casey Sheriff, who is a good player, only playing her 4th game of the year today. Sheriff's kick is dangerous in towards centre half back, chopped off, snap back towards the hot spot. Came from Orr, and she's still sweeping in the side here. Orr taken away by Maguire. Hand pass was knocked down. McLean fed it out wide, looking for Garner. Cats with all the numbers though. Hand pass came out wide. Here's a chance for Ivy after receiving from Rankin. Ivy can't shrug the tackle. Diving in hard in defence, Casey, but the Cats have a loose one, and that's Rocky Cranston hiding out the back. And the kick goes way offline and through for one behind to Geelong. Cats go to 3 goals, 2-20. Casey 2-1-13 at the 6-minute mark of the second quarter. Swiss Wellness VFL Women's Round 7 action. And Ben Felson brings the footy back into play. And it's through the hands of Taryn Orgel and goes back over the line for a throw-in. Taryn Orgel played here last year, seemed to have dropped off the list, but she's back today. Managed to talk her into coming back?
Yeah, no, she's just managed to have a bit of a time off, just having a rest period, and has worked really, really hard to get back on the team this week. So I know she was very excited to come out and get a runny up with the girls, and I think it's going to be really good to have her height in there and her drive through the ball. So as tall as she is, she manages to get down for those ground balls really, really well. And
at 33 years of age, brings plenty of experience back to the team too, as Maddie Gearan breaks away from the contest, kicks into the middle of the ground. Good Mark McDonough. Gives the hand pass off. Had to stop and wait for it, Johnson. Plays on. Kicks in towards half forward. Jacobson has it knocked away from her. Then she rips it out of the grasp of Blakeway. Turnover for the Cats again. Booted clear by Ivy up towards half forward. Back with the flight of the ball. Unable to take the mark. There was Hogg, and she got tackled beautifully to ground. That was Smith, in fact, on debut, Jess Smith. It'll work towards half forward. Bent Belson to McLean. Beaten for it there. Came up to Benham, who kicks towards full forward. Ball thumped to ground for the Demons. Getting in there was Maguire. It's ripped out of there by Orr, who snaps around the corner on the left, and it doesn't hook back on the bounce. It hits the post. And Geelong go to an 8-point lead, 3-3-21. Casey 2-1-13, 7.5 gone.
So Geelong enjoying a good little period, lead out to 8 points. It was 12 at quarter time. As Casey sort of hug our broadcast side. Standing in the way was McLean, unable to take the mark, so the Cats will get another little look at it here. All flicked up. The tackle came from Jessica Smith, and it was high, certainly reaching over the shoulder as she went in low in an attempt to tackle on that occasion. And we got Taryn Love now lining up for goal from 45 metres out. Now just floats it into the goal square. Certainly straight enough. Touched off hands. Mark was claimed but not paid, and as a result, a sling tackle. Very aggressive tackle to ground. We saw the incident with Taylor earlier where she was dumped, and that was a little bit more innocent perhaps than this one. This one was a rather vigorous tackle on Georgia Clark, who still saw in the goal square, and I think the way she's very slow to get up probably justifies the decision. It was a very aggressive sort of dump tackle, which will have a look on the replay now. Yep, ooh. Certainly spun and driven into the ground.
Yeah, there's a worry for Taryn Orgel straight up, the player we were just talking about there. That'll unfortunately be looked at, I think.
And what is also unfortunate, we spoke about Georgia Clark having not kicked a goal in her VFLW career. She may not be able to take this kick. She's got the free kick 5 metres out directly in front. It's still in the hands of the trainers and hasn't got herself back up yet, so you would sense it's likely that someone else is going to have to take this shot at goal from the square.
And this could bring Geelong down to 21 if Krista Woodruff hasn't been able to come back out. Of course, Denby Taylor carried off on a stretcher in the first quarter.
Well, Clark is up. I think she'd be sitting there thinking, can I pop this through and then go off?
No.
It doesn't look like it's going to happen.
She's got the wobbly boot on, unfortunately.
So
And Taryn Orgel is being reported here for the sling tackle. So a worry for Casey, but a bigger worry for Georgia Clark.
Well, once upon a time, that tackle was perfectly legitimate. It's probably for the better now that it isn't. But for a long time, that was, I guess, part and parcel of the game. But now, obviously, with a lot of the focus on safety and head injuries and the like. So it's going to be Danielle Orr who's going to double up. She scored just prior to quarter time. She shouldn't be missing this from directly in front, about 8 metres out. So Georgia Clark earning the free kick and the goal for her side, but she's in the hands of the trainers now, very slowly making her way around to the dugout. And that would be 3 down for the Cats, because you sense that's 2 open and shut concussions.
They've taken her straight off the ground, so she can't go back on anyway.
And the other injury was Woodruff, who sort of hobbled off the ground, and Danielle Orr completes the transaction for Geelong, gets her second, joins Ruby Benham as multiple goal scorers. And the Cats, despite their injury woes, lead by 14 points, but that is a concern. 4-3-27, Casey 2-1-13.
We obviously won't touch on that too much, Taylor. People watching on VFL Live can form their own opinions. It's unfortunate. It's a hard tackle. You said she was Taryn's a strong contender, but we'll see what comes out of that. But being 14 points down is not ideal, but Damien will be now really looking to force home the fact that you've potentially got an extra 3 players in the game.
Yeah, well, that's it. If anything, like if we haven't really hit the scoreboard in these first 2 quarters, and I think these last 2 that are coming up, that's when we're going to find we've got more fresh legs than they will. So hopefully be able to take away a bit more.
Orgel in the ruck, won the tap, and the umpire calls for... No, he doesn't call for a ball up. I thought I heard a whistle there. Play on. And wrapped up there was Hogg, and this time the whistle does come. Jamie Lambert's kicked her 3rd goal for Collingwood, and Shani Layton, the netball legend, has kicked her first goal in football, I believe.
Yeah, I'd say that would be the case.
In the
No, she didn't. Yep.
And this is only a 2nd game at VFLW, so she's kicked one as well. We'll get that score shortly as the Demons are wrapped up. It's 7-1-43, Collingwood leading the Western Bulldogs, 1 behind. And that's at the 17-minute mark of the 2nd quarter. That game now ahead of us with the 2 serious injuries we've seen here. As the umpire will let them play. And brought down in the tackle was Orgel. Eventually we get a ball up. Quarter time in the other game at Box Hill City Oval. Hawthorn and Southern Saints 1 behind each. A low-scoring start to that game. As the Demons break out of the middle, kick towards half-forward. Blakeway had the sit and marked well in front of Cordner. Plays on short and finds Renee Gehring. Brings it back to Blakeway. Still on the half-back line. Only gone 12 and a half minutes in this 2nd quarter, so we've lost about 5 or 6 minutes of playing time with those 2 stoppages. The kick to the wing was taken down by Van der Heuvel. And there'll be a free kick here to Van der Heuvel.
Bit of a crude shepherd after she got rid of the footy.
So it'll come back to Sophie Van der Heuvel at halfback for the Cats.
And she'll pop it over the top, and landing into a bit of space was Ivy. So the Cats just take a bit of the sting out of the game, try to limit the running, given the players that they're missing. Goes and finds Love. Back to Ivy. Ivy ran into a bit of traffic, but left foot kicks a very good one down towards half forward. It finds the target in the 2-time goal scorer in Benham. Still a couple of kicks from goal. Can Geelong open this contest up? Good ball inside 50, and standing there and marking it was Rankin. And just a fraction too far out to score. We'll look to set this one up to the top of the goal square. Casey got the numbers back. Jacobson read that well. Straight off the boot, floated in and took the defensive mark coming across the pack. She'll deliver outside or hopefully up towards defensive 50. Recovering well there was Emerson, who runs away, drives it down towards the wing. Numbers are with Geelong. And taking a good mark is Blakeway, who's had a very good quarter. She'll deliver into the middle of the ground. Nice hit too. Finds a teammate there in Pearce, and floating over the back and taking the mark in some space is Danielle Orr, who's already kicked 2. She's 35 metres out, almost directly in front. She was a beneficiary of taking that last shot with Clark off the ground. Could she back herself here to get a 3rd? Loads up on the left. It's going to land about 5 metres from goal. Numbers at the fore with the Cats. Karras gave it out. Hurried snap just offline and 1 behind. So the Cats 4-4-28. That snap coming from Crockett Grills, and 2-1-13 Casey.
So Jacobson will bring it away from full back to Gearin. 2 Stars trying to lift their team. Geelong in the box seat at the moment, but we believe at least 2, if not 3 players down. Turnover here goes to Rankin, who kicks back inside 50. Big pack converges. Orr brought it down, recovered best. Toe poked it forward. It came out wide looking for Love. Now to Orr, who goes for the little snap around the corner. Again, it doesn't hook back on the bounce, and it trickles across the line and out for a throw-in.
Definitely only 2 Geelong players on the bench.
We saw Clark was taken straight up the race as well, having been knocked out. So, a boundary throw-in. He's come far enough in to throw it outside the 50 just about. Ball back into play, and it'll be 1 down by Karras. Good ball. Quick snap from Crockett Grills. Tumbles towards the line. Oh, was there a boot in there?
I think there was, but just over.
Goal umpire said no for Ruby Benham. and we'll credit that as a rush behind. And the Cats lead by 16. Jacobson takes a strong mark in the back pocket. And we'll bring it out of defence for Casey. They need a goal before half-time. They've got 4 minutes to do it. Ball long from Jacobson, up to the wing. Getting through there was Love. Little hand pass, great 1-2 with Gehring. Love sets sail for the top of the goal square. Oh, great mark, Ben Belsen, back with the flight of the ball and takes it in the square.
That's a couple of nice defensive marks. One there and one from Jacobson earlier. Goes out towards McDonough, who's just able to break the tackle. Good strength just to float away off to Garner. Garner stopped in her tracks, and the Cats enjoying some repeat entries at the moment. Hurried wobbly ball inside 50 as it found its way to a target in Gehring, who's 45 metres from goal. So the Cats' lead at the moment is 16. Just getting out to that dangerous territory. Sits it up towards the top of the square, and it's a mark in front position. It looked like Jacobson had floated across and had a reasonable purchase on that, but it's Cranston who's been able to just pluck it out of the hands and come down with the footy.
She'd be the only one that would have been able to outmark Jacobson in that contest
too. Look for all the money like Jacobson had that absolutely sewn away, but Cranston, beautiful judgment to float across, and now she might be able to add her first. 20 to 25 metres out. No. Just a ugly looking kick off the boot, and they're just not putting them away, and that could be a concern. We've spoken a lot about the fresh legs factor. 4-6-30 to 2-1-13. We are 17 and a half into the second.
Ben Felsen drives it long looking for Jacobson, and there's those strong hands as she outmarks Rankin. Bianca Jacobson, of course, remember, the best player of the day, gets the Eternity Spray Tanning of Berwick award as a 50-metre penalty is paid here to Jacobson. The player on the mark, I think Rankin thought she'd played on, but the umpire hadn't said play on. 50 metres is a big penalty in VFLW, and not many of the players can kick that far at this stage. McLean fired the hand pass out wide. Came now to Anna Harris, the third of the debutantes. Her tumbling kick is going to stay inside the line. And that was working perfectly for Casey because it would have been a free kick if it had trickled over.
I think 50 is too big a penalty in all forms of footy, personally, unless it's a crude offence, if you flatten someone after they take a mark. But for things like just encroaching over the mark...
You should be able to have a 25 option.
Yeah, that's too harsh a call.
Your thoughts on that, Taylor?
Yeah, I agree. I've actually given away one of those before. I thought the umpire said play on, but apparently it was move on. So, yeah, 50 metres, it definitely hurts the team. Generally, a lot of the time, if you do give a 50 away, it's a shot on goal.
And that's one we'll repeat more about that as a great tackle from Ben Velzen is rewarded with holding the ball in the centre circle. She kicks towards Cordner, goes over her head. The two Geelong players spoil each other. Cordner then promptly hand passes it to Ivy, who gave it to Gehring. She goes short to the wing. Good pick up by Benham and a nice hand pass to Gehring, who ran onto the footy. Kick on the outside of the boot, doesn't get much purchase on it. Great pick up by Van de Heuvel. She kicks towards half forward, or played on and then realised there was nowhere to go. Managed to draw one in Cranston. Kicks from 50 up to the goal square. It's a one-on-one contest here. Ground level ball, and she overran it. And Renee Karras will run into goal and miss.
I think Casey's very, very lucky there.
Oh, I tell you what, Hannah Dyson just completely overran the footy and left it behind, and Renee Karras let her off.
Two mistakes. That missed shot when she could have walked in, but also Madison Maguire was like 30 metres in the clear, 30 metres out directly in front. Could have just gone over the top and wandered in. In the end, it should have been a goal anyway, but somehow they probably thought they were under more pressure than they were. But speaking of under pressure, Casey have made a bit of a hash of getting this out of defence, but Kirkwood throws it onto the boot. Still not entirely out of danger just yet, and they're saved by the siren. Geelong missing their last 4 shots at goal. It was 4-3 to 2-1. It ended up 4-7 to 2-1. And we've spoken a lot about them being 2 and possibly 3 players down. So will they rue 1 goal 6 in the second quarter when perhaps they could have put the game away?
4-7-31 for Geelong. Casey Demons 2-1-13. 2 goals each to Danielle Orr and Ruby Benham. And for Casey, the goals to Alicia Johnson and Georgia Speedy on debut. You mentioned that before we go, Taylor, move it on. That's been one that I've really been, I suppose, harping on for a few years. When the umpires say move it on, it's very easy in a loud environment down there to mishear it, as you just described.
Exactly. Like it's very similar to what they say, and especially for a first timer in the VFL as me, like you get really jumpy and on the mark, and you get told to keep that active feet, and as soon as you hear that move it on sort of thing, you think, all right, I'll shoot forwards, and then unfortunately you give away 50 and it's a shot on goal majority of the time. So but no, I do agree it should be something different that doesn't sound so similar.
So Geelong potentially 3 players down at half time. They're definitely 2 down, but they are 18 points to the good, the Cats. 4-7-31 leading the Casey Demons 2-1-13. Very good for joining us in the first half, Taylor. We'll let you decide whether you want to stay with us or head back down to your teammates.
Yeah.
But what you've done for us has been fantastic, and you've provided a great insight in the Demons so far.
All right, thank you very much for that. Amazing opportunity.
Great stuff, and we hope to see you back out on the field kicking goals rather than talking about them.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. Richmond next week would like that. As I say, my Bass Coast teammate Taylor Stahl plays for Richmond, so it'd be good to go up against her instead of alongside her. So bit of competition there. Exactly
right, and enjoy that prize from eternity spray tanning that you won for the 2-goal game a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I might have to use it for the next game, so I'll look nice and tanned for it.
When we head out there, I think we might be out there next week. Not 100% sure. We'd have to check up on that. But thanks very much for joining us. We'll take a break for 10 minutes or so. During this break, you'll hear from the Casey coach, Damien Keeping, who I spoke to in the pre-match. And then we'll come back for the second half a little bit later on for Swiss Wellness and Choose Tap. We are going to head to a break for VFLW Live and also for Casey Radio 97.7, the sound of the Southeast.
Visit VFL.com.au.
Our next guest is Brittany Gutnick, who was part of the Northern Knights girls team. She is a NAB Girls League Premiership player, took a fantastic scalp, I suppose, with 14 touches and 5 tackles in the midfield there, and will play in the NAB AFLW Under-18 Championships for Vic Metro against Vic Country this Saturday at Werribee. We welcome her to the program. G'day, Brittany.
Hello.
Thanks very much for giving up your time. Are you excited ahead of the Under-18 AFLW National Championships? It must be a great feeling to represent your metropolitan region.
Yes, it definitely is. I suppose not many people get the chance to run out for Vic Metro, so getting the opportunity is really great.
Britt, welcome to the show. What's it like pulling on the Vic Metro jumper for the second year in a row?
It's pretty special. I guess last year I wasn't expecting to play much, but luckily got the 3 games up in Gold Coast, and hopefully this year can do the same and play up there and get a few touches.
Is it a bit of a different role for you now, being that more experienced member of the Vic Metro team second time around?
Yeah, I guess last year I played predominantly forward, so this year I'll jump inside the mid and have a run in there.
And also, Brittany, I hear you're attending Year 12 at the moment at Box Hill Secondary College. What's it been like? Obviously, Year 12 is a very hectic year for most kids. What has it been like balancing school commitments with your footy commitments as well?
It's been pretty hard at times, but getting through good. And I guess now that I've got my licence, I can drive to school, which takes some of the travel time off, and just making sure I study when I get the chances to.
What has the last month been like for you, Britt? Obviously, with firstly the Northern Knights NAB League Girls Premiership, and then the next day going into training for Vic Metro. Tell us a bit about how you've been able to juggle it all and what it's been like time-wise.
Yeah, I guess obviously the Premiership has been a real highlight, and it's been sad to say goodbye to the Knights program after 3 years, but hopefully on to bigger, better things. So, yeah, it's just training with Vic Metro, it's quite different to our nights training, and getting to know all the girls and their names. It's hard at times, but it's good experience.
And of course, at Northern Knights, you had the premiership coach in Marcus Abney Hastings. You've now moved on to Vic Metro, and a different coach this year with Nathan Burke in charge.
Wow.
How have you found Nathan and the training sessions so far?
Yeah, well, I actually was fortunate enough to meet Nathan earlier in the year on one of the academy camps. So I'd known him a little bit before, and he's just a great bloke who's very focused on the fundamentals of footy and executing the skills and simple stuff.
We're speaking with Brittany Gutnick, who is part of the Northern Knights girls team and will represent Vic Metro in the NAB AFLW Under-18 Championships this Saturday at Werribee against Vic Country. Britt, your coach, the Knights coach Marcus Abney Hastings, has put big raps on you, saying that he thinks you'll get drafted at a very high level. Do you think that places a lot of pressure on you, or are you proud of the fact that your coach really does believe in you?
I guess it doesn't place pressure on me. I'm looking forward to the opportunity of getting drafted, and I'd be thrilled if I went anywhere. So it would also be good to see when some of my friends go and see if they get picked up as well.
Now, obviously, entering Vic Metro for the second year, what was it like knowing that a number of your teammates in Vic Metro last year, I looked back at the opening round of the championships up on the Gold Coast last year, and you had Daisy Bateman, Michaela Cann, Maddie Press-Barkis, Eleanor Brown and Abby McKay all in that second round team. What's it like having seen those players go on to debut and play in the AFLW competition this year?
Yeah, I guess last year I'd look up at them and I'd just be in awe of them, and I guess seeing them debut and doing so well, it's amazing to see the young girls making such an impact at the AFLW level, and they're really good.
And obviously, after the championships, you've signed on with Carlton's VFLW team, and a number of former Vic Metro teammates there, Charlotte Wilson, Emerson Woods, and also Maddie Press-Barkis there as well. How will you transition into that Carlton VFL team after the championships?
Yeah, I guess it's good because I know a fair few girls down there already, and Charlotte and Emma, they've all welcomed me in and made sure we feel comfortable down there. So, yeah, it's been an easy transition into training with Carlton.
And Brett, drafting weighs on the mind of a lot of young players coming through, both men's and women's. Is it something you think about? Is it always in the back of your mind whilst you're playing, or do you think you're level-headed and you're just focusing on what's happening out on the field and the draft can probably be put to one side?
Yeah, I guess I definitely don't think about it on the field at all. Maybe occasionally when I'm just having a thought, I might think it might pop into my head, but definitely not in the field. I'm just kind of trying to focus on enjoying footy and doing all the things right out there. And
your background, Britt, coming from a basketballing background, so fairly new to football. How did the Northern Knights and NAB League over the last couple of years help your development and learning the game of football?
Yeah, I guess I've had 3 years in the Northern Knights now, and before that, it's been such a quick journey. I felt like I didn't know anything last year, but it's definitely been 3 years that I've been there. So learning everything through Marcus and Rebecca Privatelli before that, it's good, like how they just have different perspectives on games, and you get all different knowledge from different coaches with all the programs I've been involved in. So I guess, getting the knowledge from everyone else and learning from it.
And Britt, it's always the big encounter in any competition when Metro takes on Country. Has Berkey been talking anything about that rivalry, Metro Country, leading up to this game or the game this Saturday at Werribee?
Oh, he definitely has been. He's been saying a few cheeky comments about the Country girls. Something to do with cows and chickens, I think. So, yeah.
Oh, I won't go there. Brett, you've grown up at an interesting time, I think, for women's sport, not just footy, women's sport in this country. Over the last few years, it's grown exponentially. It's become so much more popular, particularly at the local level. Is that something that you've noticed, and do you think the standard has really risen in the junior ranks with the players that you've played with and against?
Yeah, so definitely from when I started to now, even just the local competition has improved immensely, and it's great to see that so many girls get involved. And we now at my local club have multiple girls teams. Like when I started, it was only the under-18s that I was a part of. So now seeing all the younger girls coming through, it's really awesome.
And Britt, it's not bad for the championships. You head to Werribee for round 1, but you must be pretty excited to head back up to the Gold Coast for the continuation of the championships in July.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully the weather's warm up there.
Really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us on the program tonight, and all the best. We have the under-18 champs in the AFL Women's this weekend.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. Fantastic. Well spoken there. Brett Gutnick joining us, part of the Northern Knights girls team. And Gutsy, it's a great initiative. And as I mentioned before, it really has grown the popularity in junior competitions, particularly for women's footy.
Oh, it's been fantastic. And I think having covered under-18 football for a number of years now, seeing the increase in standard and increase in talent at the under-18 championships has been phenomenal. And to see we're going to have 7 of the Northern Knights players running around for Vic Metro on the weekend. And as I mentioned, you wander through those names. Maddie Pressbarkis last year. Nina Morrison was the joint MVP of the under-18 champs last year. I'm really looking forward to seeing these championships again because there's some great talent coming through from Victoria. We're hoping either Metro or Country goes through with a bit of a clean sweep throughout the championships, but it's great to see the talent coming through the ranks.
The coach of the Casey Demons I spoke to in the pre-match, and obviously upbeat about what was potentially on offer today for his inexperienced and undermanned team. They've got an average of 7 games played between them today, so it's a very inexperienced team with all those stars being out of the side.
Good to see him getting another opportunity too, Damien, given his exodus from AFL level.
Yeah, at Carlton, yeah. He gets a chance here. It's his second year, and he's doing a great job with them. They only won 4 games last year. They've already won. They won their first 3 this year, and in good shape. As we prepare for the second half here, with thanks to Swiss Wellness and Choose Tap on VFLW Live, and to our great station sponsors Prestige Hino and Eternity Spray Tanning of Berwick. on Casey Radio 97.7. How much do you think being 3 players down, and Geelong are 3 players down with only 2 coming to the bench, so Krista Woodruff is out of action as well. Yep. They've lost Georgia Clark and Denby Taylor to concussion and Krista Woodruff to a leg injury. How much will that affect them? They'd be pretty happy with an 18-point lead.
Yeah, I think they've just got to change the way they play a little bit. I mean, they're moving the ball really quickly in the first half, so when they force turnovers, they just charge from one end of the ground to the other. They probably now got to just look after the footy a little bit, so move the ball slowly down the ground, just chip it around, conserve the legs, whereas Casey, on the other hand, need to get the game out into the open and run and try to force them to use their legs for the second half and burn them out. But I just think that if you're Geelong, all you can really do is just try to be a little bit safer with the ball.
Now, we've taken a massive step backwards in the standard of people here in our commentary position. Taylor has left us, and we've replaced her with a bald-headed flog.
Got to be careful. The behavioural officers are out the back.
Yeah, we're marched out here. Paul Elvish, a very good afternoon, and welcome to Casey Radio.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me. And well, that's got to be minimum 3 weeks, Johnny. Bald-headed flog, mate. Can I call you a blue maggot?
Yes, you can.
A blue and red maggot?
You get 3 weeks as well.
Well, our old mate's suing the AFL, isn't he? The bald-headed flog comment guy.
He is. We're underway in the third quarter. Here's
Frankie.
Darren Parkin.
As we see Karras win the first tap. Little ball from Emerson, just sort of dribbled off the boot, and then she was tackled a little bit too long. Umpire initially called the wrong way, but it's definitely Emerson's free kick. First we've seen that. A few tackles have lingered a bit in this game, and they've finally put the whistle to the mouth. Jacobson will go high, just was buffeted just as she was about to take possession. Cordner charging through, just found an opening, goes to goal and kicks the first of the second half. Harriet Cordner. And she was one of the best for Casey in the first half, probably in their best 3 players. And that's a great start, 3-1-19. They bring the margin back to 12 points, 4-7-31 the Cats.
Perfect start there, isn't it? That's exactly what Casey wanted to do. Win it out of the middle, get the first goal. Gives them a big chance to come back here. And I heard you saying that the Geelong girls are 3 down.
Yeah, we've seen, you're just joining us, Denby Taylor and Georgia Clark both knocked out in the second quarter. Denby Taylor making a tackle, Georgia Taylor in a sling tackle that saw Taryn Orgel reported. So we'll probably hear more about that, and a leg injury to Krista Woodruff. So they're down to 20 players, Geelong, and the Demons will be looking to take advantage. They got the perfect start. Ivy has it taken away from her, and eventually we will have a ball up around the grounds midway through the third quarter in Morwell. Collingwood 8-2-50 leading the Western Bulldogs 1-8. Lauren Dundon has the Bulldogs on the board there. And the Southern Saints at half-time 1-17 leading Hawthorn 1 behind with Fiona Steert kicking the goal. As a free kick is paid here to Geelong out of the centre of Cardinia Park. It goes towards half-forward. Ground level ball here for the Cats. Picked up by Crockett Grills, and then she fired it forward. Good tackle laid there for Geelong. It gives Annie Hay a chance, who kicks inside 50. Ball bounces away from the charging player in Maguire. Flicks out the back to Ivy, who got wrapped up. Somehow got a kick away just in time. Picking up Crockett Grills. Then she tried to rugby scrum her way straight through. And some umpires may have paid that, but this one says it's my ball.
So centre half forward for Geelong, leading by 12 points. Courtney goes up unopposed in the ruck, taken there by Gehring, who didn't have room to escape, and flicked it off to a teammate in Maguire, who was immediately caught. So we'll bounce the ball again just outside 50 for Geelong. Karras on that occasion getting up and contesting the ruck. Emerson's had a very good start to the quarter. That's a nice releasing hand pass. Demons will go forward. It's an ill-directed kick. Should allow the Cats to take possession and rebound back the other way. Blakeway was involved in that exchange. The ball will now come out towards our broadcast position. It will be trapped close to the line there by Crockett Grills, who goes forward and finds Haig, whose dinky ball didn't go the required distance to satisfy Mark. Gearin's hand pass down towards Heath. Heath's hand pass cut off. Once again getting involved there was Gehring, who flicked the hand pass off. The Cats will now shoot down towards goal. It'll just pitch in the pocket. And a chance for Orr, who's got all the time in the world. Hand pass to a teammate under pressure, but they get the goal in any case to Van der Heuvel. Thought Orr might have been best served because she had the most space to just step out and snap it around on her right, but did the team thing, and in the end, they get their fifth, 5-7-37 to 3-1-19.
And Paul Elvish, that's the second time that Hannah Dyson has
Just gonna
slipped
say.
over in a one-on-one contest.
Yeah.
She did it late in the second quarter. It
Saw
didn't
that.
cost them a goal. This time it did.
Is she not wearing the correct boots?
Must admit, there is a little bit of give in the ground out there. I was
Okay.
down there in the pre-match, but so a little bit of dew on the surface, but still no one else is slipping over that you can see.
The problem is there, when she slipped over, she actually had time to get up and chase. She literally gave up then.
So back in the centre, the Cats with the steadier. They lead by 18 points. And it's ripped out of there for the Demons, but going straight back in to the contest there was Cordner. And another ball up in the centre circle. Karras reaches over Cordner and won the tap. Straight through off the wing goes Kirkwood. She kicks up towards half forward. Jacobson beaten for it by Blakeway, who's been outstanding. This time in the road is Kirkwood and takes the mark for Casey. 60 metres out from goal. Ali Kirkwood kicks inside forward 50 and thrown out of the way. Cordner gives away the free kick. It'll go to Cassie Blakeway, who is a contender for the Eternity Spray Tanning of Berwick Award. She's fantastic on half-back. Jacobson makes almost a half smother there. Did she get a hand on it? Let's see. Yes, it was partially smothered, so it'll be a boundary throw-in.
So a goal each in this second half, which would suit the Cats just fine. They've got to maintain their advantage here with 3 players out of the game. There's a whistle off the ball there. The umpire's just going to go over and have a chat to the boundary umpire, and we're going to pay a free kick here to the Demons, and it's going to go the way of Melanie Hogg.
That must have come in the earpiece of the umpires. Because I assumed it was paid for touched off the boot, and maybe the video has shown that it wasn't.
Which is an interesting overall from afar, but good to see the technology working on some occasions. The ball's floated across a very dangerous-looking kick. Showed a lot of the football.
That's a free kick.
I agree. There should have been a free kick to Kirkwood, who was floating across, but now we're going to have a boundary throw-in in the pocket. An untidy little transition out of defence from the Cats.
Garner got to her feet a lot quicker, didn't she? And was dragged straight back down again.
Yep.
So a boundary throw-in. Deep forward for Casey Demons. Scoring opportunity. Karras and Cordner. Cordner won it. Gearin does the roving. Snap around the corner will land in the goal square. Jacobson over the top. Couldn't get a purchase on it. And it rolled into the post for a behind to Maddie Gearin. Casey 3-2-20. Geelong 5-7-37 after 6.5 in the third quarter.
And they work it back through again. Garner was sort of potentially in the way. Van der Heuvel, the last goal scorer, a long way from her defensive end, trying to shovel out a hand pass. It's close to the boundary line. Jacobson, another one of those over-the-shoulder hand passes, which he's done quite effectively. She now goes back in to try to get it again. Wrapped up in a tackle. Umpire gives him some time and will bounce about 15 metres from the Demons' goal.
She's very clever up forward, Bianca Jacobson, isn't she?
Absolutely. Trailing by 17 points. She remains in the vicinity. Ball comes in her direction. Steps out of traffic. Snaps over the shoulder. It goes very high as it got the carry. It lands in the square and it's knocked down for a rush behind. 3-3-21. Casey, 5-7-37 the Cats. Margin 16. 7 into the third term.
Charging out of defence is Kerrick. Brings it. Poor kick and a great mark. Juggling effort standing in front was McDonough. Moves it quickly in towards the advantage of Bailey. Couldn't get it to her. The Cats' defence arrived and chopped it off. And we'll get a ball up 45 metres out from the Casey goal. Round the grounds, Collingwood by 48. Southern Saints by 6. Cordner takes it out of the ruck and then dropped it.
Yep.
And that's holding the ball. Rule change, of course, means you can take it, but you've still got to dispose of it properly. Karras goes short. And Jordan Ivey, there's a banner for her downstairs, Poison Ivy, as you'd expect. And she brings it out wide. Kicks to the wing. Cranston couldn't take the mark. It was a Benham, in fact. McDonough, another stretch. This one was touched, ripped out of her hands, and then fumbled by McDonald. That was Amy for the Cats. Ben Felsen, toe poked away from her. McDonald has another go at it. Ivy at the back will pick up the football. Great hip and shoulder. Gave the hand pass off to Waugh, who brought it inboard to Benham. Kicks up in the air towards half forward. Cats with a chance here. McLean picked up the crumb, gave the hand pass off, back to Benham. Loops the handball over the top. Chance now for Geelong. Flying shot at goal off the standing start from Van der Heuvel. Lands in the square. Picked up well by Casey, and coming out of defence was Garner, the co-captain. Hit the target nicely. Cordner to the wing.
That's a free kick.
Jacobson front on contact. Umpire ignores it. Johnson picks up the loose ball. Boots it towards centre half forward. Fumbled ball there from Ramsey at the bootlaces. Getting over was Pearce for Geelong. She had it taken away from her. Johnson goes up and under. Kicks to open space. Sets up a foot race. It'll be Chantel Emerson beaten in the race by Taryn Love. Toe poke it toward the line, and her desperation to keep it in is unsuccessful. And that this time should be a free kick to Casey, and it's going to be a throw in. Maybe she did get hands on it this time, Parko.
Yeah, although we might probably too late now for the earpiece to sort of come through, and overall the ball's back in motion. Casey need to close this gap. Cordner's been terrific. Kick smothered. Hogg just buffeted out of the way there by McDonald, who used the body well for the Cats. They'll now bring it to centre half back, and spilling a mark she should have taken there was Rankin. So they're under pressure again here, Geelong, at centre half back. Emerson just trying to burrow her way through, and we'll have a bounce. In fact, getting up in that contest was Pratt. So centre half forward. Casey just trying to draw a little closer. They've missed their last couple of chances, and now Geelong can build. Rankin, hand pass to a player under a fair bit of pressure in the middle of the ground. Standing in the way was McLean, but Cats eventually push their way through, and once again they find an open forward line ahead. Benham's kicked a couple. Casey defence under a fair bit of pressure here. They're just standing up reasonably well. It comes out to Heath. Heath will chip towards our broadcast position. They can gather just in close to the boundary line there. Garner just took too long for the ball to sort of travel to its intended target in Hogg, which meant the Cats were able to close it down. And some good strong pressure from Geelong to lock the ball into their area. The ball to be bounced 60 around from the Cats attacking goal, leading by 16 points.
Past the midway point of this third quarter here at GMHBA Stadium, Cardinia Park, taken away from the contest by Cordner. Great to see her having a crack at the left boot. Too many men's players don't do that. Holding the ball will be the result. Meanwhile, because Taryn Orgel took on the tackler and lost, she's not happy with the decision. Orgel, remember, reported in the second quarter for a sling tackle on Georgia Clark. Kick inside to half forward by Rankin. Almost the mark taken for Geelong. That was by Maguire, and it's not coming out. We'll have a ball up.
That left-footed attempt before actually come off her knee, but at least she had an attempt on the left foot, Jonty.
That's what I say. The VFL players don't do it, and a lot of the AFL players don't do it either. So well done, Harriet Cordner. Kick inside 50 for Geelong from McDonald. Well done by the Demons. Late inclusion into Neil Nash. Hand pass came through. Kirkwood has 3 to beat here. She can't beat them all. Love flicked it up, and we'll get a ball up about 35 out from the Cats' goal. They lead by 16 points, 12 minutes gone third quarter.
Julia Crockett-Grill, she's a tough player, isn't she, Jonty?
She is. I'm pretty sure a Hawthorn Premiership player last year.
Right.
Nice work under pressure there from Orgel, but the Cats have still got it, and that's good vision. The execution just didn't quite reach the intended target. Demons frantically trying to work it out of their defence. Kirkwood had a couple to beat. Gave the hand pass out of that probably a little bit too easily when they needed to bottle that one up. Casey Gearan just paddles it forward without taking possession, but gained 15 or so metres. Cats will wobble it inside 50, and just getting a little bit of separation and allowing her to push forward and take the mark was Van der Heuvel, who's kicked the Cats' goal in this term.
The benefit of playing in front.
Yeah, it was just an indiscriminate kick forward, no intended target, just going for territory. And she had some space on her opponent, was able to take the mark. So next goal is pretty important. If Geelong get it, you'd think a buffer at around about 4 goals is too much. In case you can draw within a couple of kicks with the fresher legs. Van der Heuvel hits the outside of the right boot, and it's drifting wide and allowed to bounce by Casey, which means we'll have a boundary throw in. And perhaps they would have been best served to close that down and take the mark. just an error in judgment, perhaps thinking that was going to go out in the full.
Or go through for a behind, I think maybe was the thinking of Bent Velsen.
So the ball's tossed back in. Some interesting ruck work there where both players sort of collapsing in the contest. It was thrown onto the boot there by Gehring. I didn't think it quite went far enough, but the mark's been paid to Bent Velsen in any case.
That's the old 15.001 metres.
Yeah.
Which is actually about 8. Ben Velsen went short to Sheriff, who went short again to Geeran, who hits the ground running. Has to go up and under with the kick to get over the charging Geelong player. Mark not taken by Rowe for the Cats. She's caught over top of the football now by Archer. And we'll get a ball up. 3-quarter time in Morwell. Collingwood 9-2-56. Western Bulldogs 1-2-8. And Southern Saints still leading Hawthorn 1-1-7 to 1 behind entering the third quarter. And that'll be holding the ball against the the Demons, I should say. It was Holly Bailey brought down. And the free kick to Geelong. Be put forward by Maguire, inside 50, thumped away there from Crockett Grills. Picked up by Benham at the back. Little hand pass just in time. Van der Heuvel, did she get a kick away? Just enough. Picked up and then lost by Tennille Nash. Van der Heuvel has another go. Ben Velsen tackles her over the line. And we get a throw in about 10 around from the Geelong behind post.
You can see Casey defending defiantly here, aren't they?
Yeah, they should be... Well, they're close enough if they're good enough, that's for sure. We saw them do it against Essendon in round 1.
One goal would be massive before the break. Geelong just pressing, though. Another one for them would just about put it beyond reach, you would think. Good, strong tackle from Casey on the last line of defence on Crockett Grills, who was trying to work her way through. Cats just still peppering. Repeat entry after repeat entry. Cranston stood tall, but was brought to ground. Virtually wakes its way out towards McDonald. Bounces it down to about 35. Casey just going off the ground, trying to clear it. In tight there, picked up by McDonough. Wrapped up straight away in a tackle, and the ball to be bounced again. 55 around from the Cats' goal. About 4 minutes of playing time left in this third term. Another goal either way would be significant. Doing a bit of ruck work there was for Geelong. It's just at the wrong end of the ground for Casey. They've got to try to relieve this pressure. Emerson couldn't quite do it. Well done there by McDonald, who was held a little bit too long in the tackle, but got the hand pass away prior to that. Emerson now in the role of a tackler, and the ball will be bounced again 55 metres from the Cats' goal.
You would think that Casey will back themselves in the last quarter, knowing that, that they're going to have the fresh legs of the injured Geelong players.
So, ball towards the middle of the ground, picked up by Brianna Pratt and then stolen away from her by Kerrick, who kicks inside 50. Crockett Grills doesn't give the free kick. Benham does give one away. And Bent Velsen will take it for the Demons. 30 out for a defensive goal. She's held firm, Kayla Bent Velsen, most of the day. Alicia Johnson tunnel balls it through and then slaps it out to give a team a chance to break clear. Emerson got it back to, that was Johnson again, out towards the wing. Great mark, Blakeway, who's playing a terrific game against some quality opposition. Blakeway brings it into the centre circle. Cordner gets in the road, probably should have taken the mark. Geeran bumps out of the way Ivy, and it will be the umpire's ball. So, about, 1 metre forward of the centre circle for the Cats. Swiss Wellness VFL Women's Round 7. Trying to break through there was Pratt, couldn't do so, and she took too long. She gave away the free kick. Geelong with the quick break, which won't be allowed. It'll come back for a free kick to the Cats, and that'll be taken by Caitlin Hausdorfer.
As the Cats work it forward again, just pushing for a goal that might, or the straw that breaks the camel's back. Good tackle in there by Love. Cats again will go inside 50. Hurried snap, looking for players in the front position. Just defending grimly on the last line, McLean, who's been doing it for the last few minutes. And the umpire will call for a bounce. 35 around from the Cats' goal, dying stages of the third. 5-7 plays 3-3, a 16-point lead. Tap down, Crockett Grills couldn't take possession, just flashing through. Would have been an opportunity on goal had she have done so. And Veltzen again just throws it onto the boot, but this time a favourable fumble, which has allowed Casey in. Johnson sends it down towards midfield. Cordner trying to control the bouncing ball in the middle. Cats eventually work it out towards the half-forward line. Emerson stood in the way and then just barrels it forward. Geelong have got probably a 4-on-1 advantage in this situation. Can Casey put enough pressure on? They can't. Geelong will transition forward and they take the mark just forward of the centre circle. Another chipping ball. They get themselves up to about 65. Grills bouncing it down towards attacking 50. Gathering the ball close there was Benham. Had it a long time and the umpire agrees, in the end paying a throw, but same result. Casey will take possession on the second last line of defence. Hannah Dyson at the moment with the footy.
There's 30 seconds left.
So they have to move it quick. Dyson's kick is a shocker, and that gives Geelong a chance. Van der Heuvel runs inside 50, kicks up towards full forward. The fly at the back. Ben Felsen makes the spoil. Karras just had to get it on the boot as she was wrapped up. Dyson fed the hand pass up. They've avoided the challenge, the danger there, I think, the Casey Demons now. And it'll head towards three-quarter time. Locked away 55 metres out from goal. It is three-quarter time at GMHBA Stadium, Cardinia Park, and Geelong in the box seat to resurrect their finals hopes today. They are a big chance to have a victory over the Casey Demons. They lead by 16 points at three-quarter time. Geelong 5-7-37, leading Casey 3-3-21. Goal scorers 2 each for Danielle Law and Ruby Benham, and 1 for Sophie van der Heuvel. And for Casey, single goal scorers to Alicia Johnson, Georgia Speedy, and Harriet Cordner. It's three-quarter time. We'll take a quick break, and when we return, Paul Elvish will tell us what he saw in that third quarter and whether the Demons might be able to make a comeback and get over the top of the short-numbered Geelong team, of course, with 3 players out of the game injured. For Swiss Wellness VFLW Live, this is Casey Radio 97.7, the sound of the Southeast.
Back, it is Casey Radio's coverage of the VFLW clash between Geelong and the Casey Demons. The Cats are 16 points up at the final change, but missing 3 key players. We know they'll go into this last quarter with Krista Woodruff out of the game with a leg injury. They also lost in the first quarter of this game. That was Denby Taylor they lost in the first quarter, and then obviously in the second quarter, Georgia Clark as a result of that sling tackle in the goal square. It's a 16-point advantage. Danielle Orr has kicked 2, Ruby Benham has kicked 2, and Sophie van der Heuvel with their only goal in the third term. For Casey, Alicia Johnson, Harriet Cordner, and Georgia Speedy on debut are their goal scorers. Speedy, one of the late inclusions, is Sarah Lampard, amongst many others absent from this Casey team. Libby Birch, Kate Smith, Tyler Hanks, Eden Zanker, Ainsley Kemp, etc., to name a few that are unavailable for today's contest. And Geelong, so far so good. They led by 18 at half-time, 16 at three-quarter time. They've been able to maintain the advantage despite the loss of players. So I imagine the key is in this final term for Casey to try to open the game up and run them off their legs if they can.
That's exactly what they'll be discussing now, Darren. They'll be talking about the fact we've got fresh legs. All right, just move the ball on quick as you can. Just keep attacking, run and carry. Just the basic, where Geelong are probably going to want the complete opposite. Yep. They're going to want to go the stop, start. I don't want to put pressure on any of the players out there, but I think Casey can win this if Bianca Jacobson kicks a couple of goals this quarter. She's dangerous up forward. If they can get the ball in there quick to her, who knows what could happen. Yeah,
Jacobson, probably Cordner, and a couple of others have been particularly influential for Casey. Ben Velson's been pretty good down back. For Geelong, I think the game of Renee Gehring has been pretty lively. I think Casey Blakeway across half back has been solid. And Danielle Orr in that forward line have been pretty good. The leading players on the ground. Interesting battle in the ruck. Karras has had her moments, but I think Harriet Cordner's ruck work has been particularly influential, and she can generally turn hit-outs into her own clearance, so that's going to be pretty important if she can just knock the ball down and just keep charging forward. Yep,
totally agree. I think Casey are not out of this in any way. If they get the first couple of goals quickly, it is game on here.
Yep, and that's where Geelong start to perhaps tighten up a little bit with the injuries that they're sort of concerned with. They finished that quarter well, though, Geelong, the last sort of 5 or so minutes, but most importantly for Casey, they didn't give up a goal from all of that.
They were defiant in defence, Casey, weren't they? And they were loose earlier in that quarter. Later on in the quarter, they tightened right up in defence, Casey, but they don't want it down in the Geelong's forward line this quarter because, the 20-minute no time on, that's just going to be time clicking over that they don't have.
Around the grounds in lovely Morwell in Gippsland, Collingwood thumping the Bulldogs 11-2, 68 to 139, and the Saints are leading Hawthorn 128 to 1 behind at Box Hill, is it?
Box Hill City Oval, that one. Yep. 4 goals now to Jamie Lambert
for
the second week in a row, so she's having a blinder.
Kicked one of the goals of the year last year on this ground. Earlier this year, rather, yeah.
Yeah, so she's in the
AFLW, yeah.
So, no, she is an absolute star, Jamie Lambert, and it was no surprise that Collingwood paid pick 3 to get her across from the Western Bulldogs.
Yeah, she's been terrific, and that goal here last year, she hurt an ankle, went off the ground for about 10 minutes and then came straight off the bench and won the ball in the corner of the square, chipped it inside 50, got it back, and then banana the goal on the run from about 35. So she's a very, very talented player, and Casey are going to need a lot of their talented players up and running in this final term. Players in position at the ready. GMHBA Stadium, Geelong 5-7-37, Casey 3-3-21. Cordner goes up, wins the clearance down to Emerson, so a good start. Emerson barrels it up inside 50. Down on that occasion looking for Bailey. Now Johnson is there, but there's a free kick for a throw. They've been pretty hot on the incorrect disposal thus far, and Geelong will take the free kick on the second last line of defence, about 45 around from the Casey goal, but it may well come back in, although a good spoil at the back, just intercepting Garner's attempts to take the mark. Ball hits the deck on the outer side wing. Geelong will take it away just before the whistle blew, and that should be a free kick for holding the ball. Good run down, chase and tackle. That's the type of pressure that Casey are going to need. They've won the free kick probably 85 metres from goal, just beside the centre circle. Now a high floating ball up towards attacking 50. Unable to take the mark in the front position for Geelong was Hausdorfer. Casey scrambling around. Johnson flicks out a hand pass. Some good evasive work. They've just got to get the ball inside 50. Try to put pressure on as Emerson's just barrelling this one forward. Cordner then sort of continued that push. The Cats reprieve and go down towards our wing position, where on a nice long lead, Madison Maguire takes the saving mark.
Maguire chips over the top, and that's a really good strong pair of hands from Orr, but she's come up sore. Was that a roll of... it's a cramp, I think. She's trying to stretch a cramp out, Danielle Orr, and no one's coming across to provide a short option for her, and she's absolutely hobbled there. Has to hand pass it over the top to Karras, who wasn't ready for it. McDonough maybe pushed in the back. Umpire said no. Still trying to get in there, Danielle Orr. She can't get off the ground, even though the bench was right there. McDonough gets a kick away, goes towards half forward. Jess Smith was caught as soon as she gathered the football. Jacobson got rid of Blakeway. Toe poked it off the ground. If she runs onto this, she's a chance. She does. Steps around Blakeway. Caught by the second chaser. Caitlin Hausdorfer did a great job, the 23rd on debut. Kick goes out quickly, and that's a great mark by McDonough.
Courageous.
And she sees a loose player. It was shut down. That was good football by Geelong. Kick was smothered off the boot of Crockett Grills. Ground level ball now for Geelong. Taken away by Gehring up towards the wing. It's going to come back. And the mark's been taken by Sheriff.
So Casey just dominating territory, but they've got to get a goal pretty early. Sheriff up inside 50. McDonough at the fall. Forced to put a bump on in that occasion. Now Emerson tackles. And will bounce it 45 around from Casey's goal on the right half-forward flank.
Shani Layton's kicked her second goal for Collingwood. The Magpies by 66 points against the Western Bulldogs.
That is a rout. Cordner taps it down. Emerson with a little touch of the fumbles. Gearin, bouncing ball inside 50 into the pocket, but Geelong's defence holding up as Casey's did in the latter stages of that quarter, but the ball's going out of bounds on the full, so Casey will get another look at an inside 50 opportunity. They're just not able to go deep. They're sort of attacking to about 35, 40 metres. Kirkwood will send them towards that range again, although she goes by hand instead towards Sheriff, and Sheriff was under pressure. Took a long time to get rid of it. Just got the kick away. We might have a carbon copy here. This is close to the boundary. Good use of the body by Cranston, not for the first time. She'll chip the ball down towards half forward. There it was Benham who overran it. A little bit of holding. That's going to be a free kick. That's going to go the way of Casey, and quite rightly so. That decision going against Haig. It's a Casey ball, right half-back flank.
And it's booted forward there by Tennille Nash up towards the flank. Picked up by Kerrick, fed the hand pass back. That was good to Hausdorfer. She kicks into the centre of the ground. Ball knocked down. That was good by the Demons co-captain in Nicole Garner. Celebrated her 27th birthday during the week, Garner. A happy birthday to her. And we get a ball up.
Looks like Danielle Orr's ready to come back on, guys. They've worked on that lower leg.
Good to hear. And away goes Gearin. Has a bounce. Runs inside 50. Sets sail for home. Maddie Gearin just short of distance. Probably could have went further, to be fair. And it's chopped off by Rebecca Pearce in the last line of defence. Clearing ball is going to set up for the Cats. And Kerrick brings it out towards the wing. Chance now for Heath for Casey. Hand pass back over the top. Bailey. She got brought down in the tackle. And we'll get a ball up. I will say it might not be a memorable 19th birthday for Georgia Clark tomorrow. Very sadly knocked out earlier today.
Good thing it wasn't today. She might not have remembered it at all, unfortunately.
Birthday, yeah. So remembering 3 players down Geelong, 2 knocked out and 1 with a leg injury. We'll come back to them in a minute because Jacobson has a chance out the back and no talk, and there was no awareness from her either.
No.
And she got run down, and the tackle was laid by Cassie Blakeway, and she won't be able to play on. It'll have to come back. Yes, Georgia Clark, 1 day before her 19th birthday, knocked out in a tackle in the second quarter that saw Taryn Orgel reported. Denby Taylor also knocked out in the second quarter, laying a tackle of her own on Alicia Johnson, and Krista Woodruff off with a leg injury. So Geelong defending really well, 3 players down.
They are, and they haven't been able to make the inroads yet in this quarter as Danielle Orr does make her way back out onto the grounds. Free kick will go the way of Geelong on the half-back flank. So they've killed about 5 or 6 minutes of the final term thus far. Casey going to win it back. Cordner with the intercept ball that was touched off the boot. She was forced to play on. I think she was going to in any case. Fed the hand pass out to a teammate who was immediately wrapped up, and the ball will be bounced.
Casey are doing exactly what we thought they'd do. They play on quick and get the ball in the forward line as quick as possible.
Just need to get an early goal just to tighten up Geelong a little bit. McDonald bounces it forward, just getting played between the arcs at the moment. If the Cats were to kick one themselves to start the last quarter, that would be the end of the contest. Then Veltson's kick is knocked down. McDonald hand pass over the top towards, on this occasion, Vander Heuvel. So we're a couple of kicks away from Geelong going into a scoring position. They'd be happy with the way this is going. Maguire hand passes out into a little bit of space. A good pressure, a good block put on it, which allowed Karras to put that inside 50. One-on-ones ahead. Or, as we said, has just come back out of the ground, steps around, snaps on the left towards goal and pops it through for a third. And that should, you'd think, be all she wrote for the Cats. They draw first blood in the last term, 6-7-43. Casey 3-3-21, margin 22 points.
That was an easy goal in the end for Orr, really. She picked it up and she just ran around. There was a bit of traffic there, but no one came at her.
Yeah, very impressive. She only just ran back on after having that cramp dealt with, went down to full forward and kicks the sealer straight away.
Yep.
Of course, as you wouldn't have heard earlier on, sister of Sean Higgins, Danny Allure.
Oh.
So you can see the quality is there in the family. She's played 32 games at this level. This is 33rd today.
There you go.
And, plenty of experience, and she's played plenty of football too, Danny Allure. As the umpire puts the footy up in the air. Back in the centre. Hard to see Casey getting out of this one now. The lack of senior players out there today coming back to bite them against a committed Geelong team. That's a great tackle by Chantel Emerson, and she gets rewarded with holding the ball against Rankin. So Emerson on half-back decides to run around Rankin and did it a little bit too easily. Kicks towards half-forward, and the mark taken there by Archer. Wants to go. In fact, it is Emily Archer who kicks it short. Beautiful kick with Jess Smith on debut, and that wasn't a good kick. She was looking for Bianca Jacobson, which you can't blame her for.
Yep.
But the execution just wasn't there. McDonald put it out to the wing for the Cats. Turnover time. Casey with the numbers. Heath kicks inside 50. This is where the Cats' numbers are. And Gehring takes the mark for Geelong.
So the Cats doing everything they need to do. Just at the moment, there was a free kick paid before that to McDonald, so Gehring just gives it off to McDonald instead of taking the kick. So the Cats now to the half-back flank. Little chipping ball there by Pearce. Well controlled by the Cats, getting the game played exactly how they want it, given the personnel issues, just slowing it down, taking any of the sting and run out of it. They've got a 4-goal lead as well, so all the more reason to not be in a hurry. Down towards the wing position. Nice tackle put on there by Hustorfer there. The umpire just calling for a bounce the moment the ball spilt out of the pack, much to the frustration of the Casey players.
One down by Ine for the Cats. It's not coming out of the contest. And we'll do it all over again. Collingwood 13-5-83, leading Western Bulldogs 1-3-9. Three-quarter time at Box Hill. Southern Saints with the only goal, 1-3-9. Hawthorn 2 behinds. As a third ball up is inevitable here on the outer wing, which is suiting Geelong just fine. Interestingly, after waiting about 40 seconds to blow his whistle, the ball came out as he did. One down by Cordner. Taken away for Geelong by McDonald. Kick towards the outer side, goes towards the line and is helped over for a throw-in. Which I'm really in two minds about whether this is a great win for Geelong or, even though 3 down, one that you would have expected them to get, given the undermanned nature of the Casey team today, Elvo.
Yep, I agree. And, you know, here's a bit of a fortress too, isn't it? Always hard to win here if you're the opposition team.
So, the Cats with the free kick. The up and under kick towards half forward came from Ine. Geelong break again. Maguire kicks in towards the pocket. Mark was dropped by Orr. Had time to recover. Good hand pass through. Here's another chance for the Cats. And it's a goal to Rocky Cranston. And it's going to turn into a very impressive victory now for Geelong. They go to 7-7-49. Casey 3-3-21. Rocky Cranston with her first goal of the season. And Geelong, well, cruising to victory now, leading by 28 points.
She's a class above the rest, Danielle, or if I can get that out. That was just class, wasn't it? Just to get that quick handball out and great vision. She's got to be on the radar for the possible player of the day.
Kennedy spray tanning of Merrick, player of the day.
Kicked 3, missed one, gave one off when she could have kicked a 4th as well and set up that goal. So she's had plenty of score involvements and goal assists. So Ine going up in the ruck, and the Cats looking to finish with a real flurry, and that should have been holding the ball in the middle. It's taken out of there by McDonald. Cats up inside 50 again, and good, strong mark taken there by Ruby Benham, who kicked 2 in the first quarter. He's got it now.
Helped set it up, didn't she?
Absolutely.
After conceding the early goal.
Lovely kick to the leading forward coming out. That was clinical football by the Cats. And that is Crockett Grills, who's taken the mark on the lead about 30 metres out directly in front. Doesn't get much better than that out of the middle.
What a beautiful pass.
Good hands initially, and then nice pass. So Crockett Grills looking to get in on the act. As the one behind next to her name will kick from about 30 metres. It's straight enough. It gets to Shepherd on the line, and it sails through for another one. 3 goals in about 5 minutes for Geelong to put a big full stop on a nice victory. 8-7-55. Casey 3-3-21. Nearly 13 gone in the final term.
Yep, this is pretty well, we know it's game over. It's just some extra goals that Geelong are getting here, and Casey I don't think they're giving up the ghost, but they're making it quite easy for Geelong at the moment.
Percentage very important for Geelong right now. We look at the ladder. They're sitting down in 11th spot on the ladder with a percentage of 64.
This is great for them.
They've really got to build that up, and this result will definitely do that. As the ball is won by Orgel in the middle of the ground. Trying to run onto it was Pratt. She did so. Kept it in front of her. She was being held all the way, Brianna Pratt. The umpire didn't see it, and she still got the footy, Pratt. Then flicked the hand pass out wide to the 50. Strong tackle laid by Kerrick. And the umpire will call for a ball up.
Spoke about these early season games. You said their percentage was 64.6. Today's scoreline, if the siren went now, makes their percentage 85.5. So 21 percentage point increase.
Still a long way behind the percentages of the teams in the top 6. But and Casey will take a massive hit too from 144.
Yep, good decision.
As the umpire says it's a free kick to the Demons. And it's booted forward there by Speedy towards the danger position, towards the top of the square. Somehow getting it away was Rebecca Pearce. Demons still working hard, not giving it up. Geelong defending stoutly as the ball came out wide. Little toe poke forward. It ends up with Emerson. She goes towards the danger position across the face of goal. It'll bounce away. Getting back there is Anna Harris on debut. Snap back around the corner. Unable to get purchase on it, and Kerrick will run away for Geelong.
And the mark taken here by Kirkwood to send it back in, and Casey's percentage down to 110 on a live ladder, so they've lost 34 percentage points.
Massive hit, isn't it?
Kirkwood goes down towards Cordner. Cordner couldn't quite gather the bouncing footy. She's certainly been one of Casey's best, though, and the ball to be thrown back in.
Just apologies. I said holding the man before there. This is a ladies' game. Apologies. It's just a bad habit, that one.
It's just I suppose it's the terminology that
we've
got to try and break. I'm guilty of it too.
Ball tossed back in. Ine was in the front position. Cats just trying to clear. Ivy couldn't do that, had her handball knocked down, and the ball to be bounced again.
Should we be saying holding the woman, Jonty? Or holding the person off the ball?
Holding will do.
Probably politically incorrect, but we should probably query why people would be offended by that. But the ball's quick bounce out. Taken here by Casey, and that is a good tackle, as we heard, and holding the ball is the free kick.
All over at Morwell. Collingwood winners by 74 points, 13-5-83 to the Western Bulldogs 139. And Phoebe McWilliams has just kicked Hawthorn's first goal. It's a 1-point ball game early in the last quarter between the Saints and the Hawks.
Blakeway bounces it down to the wing. Crockett Grills quickly onto the boot. Cats again just getting front position. Couldn't pick up the footy close to the line. It met pretty hard there was Georgia McLean. She'll be a little sore getting up from that. It's helped up by her teammate in Ghana. That was a good hit.
And Rocky Cranston came over and patted on the back as well and said sorry about that.
Yeah, got hit by the runaway train. So the ball to be tossed back in. Smack bang on the wing position. Right near the interchange gates. There's a whistle, I think, by a non-controlling umpire. In fact, they're just asking them to reset. There was a little bit of holding around that contest, so the umpires just said, just clear that out and we'll do it again. So that's take 2 now from the boundary throw-in. At the back of that pack, Orgel trying to win the tap down. Hurried snap there by Bailey down towards half forward. Blakeway tracks, gathers it at centre half back. Caught in a tackle. Cordner takes it away, goes down towards an open forward line. A chance for a late goal here for Casey. They can get a favourable bounce. A nice shepherd was put on there by Harris, which allowed Emerson to run in and kick the goal. So good teamwork inside 50. And Chantal Emerson gets her first. Casey 4-3-27. Geelong 8-7-55. Well done to Anna Harris for putting on a nice block.
So, yeah, just getting a late one back, Casey, and that'll protect a little bit of percentage. That's what they're playing for at the moment, to try not to let their percentage take as much of a hit.
That percentage makes that goal takes them from 110 to 115. So
speaking of percentage too, have a look at Collingwood's now after today's win.
243%, 6-1.
First beating third by 14 goals.
Yeah, they're on fire. Collingwood, 13-goal win, 2 13-goal wins in a row basically, as the Cats try to break it out of the contest, and it's not going to happen.
Who did Collingwood lose their game to, Jonty?
They were beaten by the Southern Saints in round 1, so they've
That's
won 6
right.
in a row.
Yep.
They were beaten 43-8 as well by the Saints.
They were too, yep.
They've got themselves going since then, that's for sure. As another ball up will result. Richmond, of course, in fact, this will be holding the ball. Richmond undefeated, but with a bye this round, they've got 2 games in hand on Collingwood.
So they should be.
As the kick goes towards half forward for Renee Gehring. Picked up for Casey, and then dispossessed was McLean. Garner couldn't pick it up, nor could McLean a second time. Orr was playing for the free kick. Taken away by Smith, who's gone down holding an ankle there. Keep an eye on that. And the ball has been ripped away for Geelong by Kerrick, who threw it on the boot in towards the forward pocket. No mark taken there by Love coming out of full forward. Casey with the numbers. Bent Velzen loses it to Love. Steps under one. Gave it off to Orr. Still a chance. Danielle Orr. Blind turn around the corner and just pushes it across the face.
I know she missed that, but she's very, very clever around goal, isn't she?
Very dangerous, Danielle Orr. She's kicked 3 goals, 2 today. Geelong 8-8-56. Casey 4-3-27. As we enter the last minute of this game here at Cardinia Park.
So it's going to be a win by the best part of 5 goals for Geelong. Second victory of the season. Can they add to that? Casey just trying to clear their defensive area one last time. Really like McDonald's second half for Geelong. She's right in there at the bottom of that scrap. So the ball will be bounced 55 around from the Geelong goal. They've kicked 3 in the last quarter to put this game well and truly to bed. Crockett Grill's close to the boundary. Happy to see that one out of play. So closing seconds of this Saturday morning/afternoon contest. Part of a Casey Radio doubleheader today. So the ball to be tossed back in just outside 50. Can Geelong muster one last opportunity in the dying seconds? They can't. They'll be well pleased with their efforts. 16 scoring shots to 7 in the end, a reflection of their control. 8-8-56 to 4-3-27, a 29-point win to the home side.
Geelong winning convincingly today against an undermanned Casey Demons, who came out here without Kat Smith, Libby Birch, Bridie Winbanks, Tyler Hanks, Eden Zanker and Sarah Lampard, among others, from the team that played Collingwood a couple of weeks ago. That the Cats lost Krista Woodruff, Denby Taylor and Georgia Clark all in the second quarter, so it was a fantastic effort from them to not only hold out the Demons, but win running away.
Win running away, yep.
A 29-point win for Geelong. Goal scorers Danielle Orr with 3, Ruby Benham with 2, and singles to Julia Crockett-Grill, Sophie van der Heuvel and Rocky Cranston. And for Casey, 1 goal in each quarter. Alicia Johnson, Georgia Speedy, Harriet Cordner and Chantel Emonson kicked those goals. Paul Elvish, that result has sent Casey's 3rd loss in a row and sent them tumbling from the top of the ladder 3 weeks ago to now outside the top 6.
It's worrying signs for Casey, isn't it? They need to get some players back on the park. They're better players.
They were all, you weren't here for the discussion earlier, they were rotated out today. Because they had a bye last week, so under the AFLW program, which runs 12 months of the year,
yes,
they were given a 2-week rest.
Okay.
So you would expect that most of them will come back in for that game against Richmond next week.
Okay. That makes sense then. That makes it Richmond haven't lost a game, so that makes it a real tough game next week. Is that at Casey Fields or is it?
No, it's actually in Bendigo.
Oh, it's a Bendigo game.
Queen Elizabeth Oval in Bendigo.
Okay.
So that's why we won't be broadcasting that one.
Sure.
But yeah, so that is a big one for Casey next week, heading out to Bendigo.
Yep, absolutely.
But a great victory for Geelong, resurrecting their finals hopes. They're back within a game, a big percentage gap, but back within a game of the top 6. That pretty much wraps us up with VFLW Live, with thanks to Swiss Wellness and Choose Tap. We thank you for joining us all on the VFL live stream. Stick with us on Casey Radio, and we'll be back after this. Darren Parkin, thank you very much to you for joining us.
It's been a pleasure. As we see, just leaving the ground there, Woodruff on crutches, so that's not a good sign for Geelong, obviously, after that injury in the second quarter. But great to be a part of this, and a good strong win for Geelong. Enjoy the call.
Thanks very much, Darren Parkin, joining us. As I said, stick with us after the break for Casey Radio. We continue on. It'll be the Geelong Cats taking on the rejuvenated Frankston Dolphins. We'll be talking about that after this. For Swiss Wellness VFLW, thank you very much for joining us. The Casey Radio 97.7 will be back after this, the sound of the Southeast.